so wild right now.
Hey, ooh, hey, ooh. This beat sounds something out the future. Iced out of my mind, I feel like Karma Suture. Tryna carve it out, dive in it, live in it, wying out, flying out to a new land, losing myself. I can't lose my plan on the rhythm. Ayy, stuck inside this rhythm while it's fast. Ayy, watch me dip between it like the lash. Heavy hit outside my mind, heavy anytime I rhyme. Ayy, dig inside a lot of lines, la da da. Break my mind, slow it down, speed it up like the Congo beat. Drumming my heart till the can go sleep. Got a tattoo yesterday, felt the pain, the shit bled away like red dreams. Can't seem to find myself inside of this thing, so I re-envision it, lose myself inside the rhythm I'm living it. For the moment it sings, back in the cloud I see green, then blue arrive, I see things change. What's here today, I can't dream past what I'm seeing right now, so I move to a new place around. I can't see what's in my path, I can't groove, ooh, smooth, ooh. This shit sounds hard.
Ooh. I got nervous. Never mind.
My bad, yeah, bro. It was like, it was kind of a maze, like at first. Well, welcome to Vine Tree Radio. It's your boy West here chilling with
Maad Hunni, how's it going?
You know we got a guest. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I go by Maad Hunni, but my friends call me Honey.
Let's go. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful day out here.
So happy to be here.
Definitely, you know, that was a fire beat by yours truly right here.
Oh, you made that?
I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of...
I'm like, yeah.
It reminded me a lot of, which,
2000?
Bring It On. It's like, it's one of, I think it's like the first Bring It On when they do like, never mind.
Nah, that's like the right era though.
But there's one song that like the Clovers team, they do like their like dance too.
I haven't seen Bring It On in a minute. But I know what you're talking about though. Like it'd be on some like.
It's like they were doing like this.
Dude, like
it was. I can't do it with the mic right here, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Definitely.
I need to fucking rewatch all those. It's been a while. I missed you.
But that shit was for sure like a maze. Like I felt like the beginning of it, I was kind of like I didn't know where I was going in it, and I was like, all right, but I'm not gonna stop. Like I was like, this is still. I'm gonna wait till it get dope. Like you know,
you got into it. You got into it.
And then eventually it got dope, and I was like, all right, for sure. Like this is fire.
You got into it.
But you know, usually this part of the show we get into a little bit of how we met and like your backgrounds, you know what you do and all that. So you know, we met before through our other friends, been on the podcast, Brianna. And,
yes, Brianna. Shout out Bri.
And when we met, I remember you talking about how you did music, and that was cool because obviously we made music. But one thing stood out to me, two things, was that you produced or like mixed your own shit.
Yeah. Which
is interesting to me because like it's only us and Mauricio does all that himself, and then you also really like Pierre Bourne, and I'm really like bringing Pierre Bourne. Those two things are things I remember. I was like. And he does that too. So I was like,
I love Pierre. I finally got to see him for my first time at Rolling Loud in San Bernardino a couple months ago. December? It was, oh my God. It was so amazing. Like he didn't play any of the shit that he like already had out that I knew. Cause like literally the day or two before he had released the album with TM88. So all he played was stuff from that album, and his set was super short. It was like 20, maybe 30 minutes. I like the single
from that album. It's pretty cool.
It's good. I was just
other than that, I haven't really got into it like that.
I was just really excited to see him in general. I wanted to see him play some stuff from The Life of Pierre 4.
Yes.
The deluxe version is so good.
The best.
So ever. Fucking good. And then the new album with Butterfly and fucking... What is that album called?
It's just Life of Pierre 5.
Oh yeah, The Life of Pierre 5. I wanted to hear some of that shit, but like it was still dope. Like none of my friends, I went in a big ass group and I was trying to convince everybody to go see Pierre with me.
Isn't that the struggle though of life? Like I've had that same struggle in life, but it's just because it's not really like it's because they put him at like a really early slot a lot of times in my opinion.
He was at like 7 or 8.
Damn.
Like we had already been there.
Was
for
he
hours.
At the same time as someone else though?
I don't know, but like I was trying to convince at least.
At these festivals.
Because at him, I would think usually it'd be like the early.
That's what I thought too, and I was scared. I was like, he's gonna play at like 4, and I'm gonna miss him.
That's how it's been for me.
Yeah, but he started at like 4 or 5 p.m., but then he got moved to like 7 or 8, and I was like, fuck yeah. Tough. And so I was with my 2 girlfriends, like sitting in the back area, like just sitting fucking chilling. And then once he started, I was like, okay, I'm going in the crowd, like y'all can wait here if you want or come with me. So I was literally in the fucking pit for Pierre the whole time alone, and my friends had left during his set to go see someone else. So I'm wandering around Rolling Loud, tripping on acid. And I'm like, fuck it, you know, I'm gonna just have a good time, you know. And it was so much fun.
Which Rolling Loud is it?
Rolling Loud LA, even though it's in San Bernardino.
Got you. Did you go to that one too? Or
I
no?
did. I went there for one day.
I know, I knew you went, but like I didn't see.
What day did you go though? Because you only went one day. Huh?
I think it was the second day.
That's how I remember.
I went for one day and I only went there for a little bit.
It was because you went at like night, right?
Oh really?
I didn't. It was like a whole situation with like the hotel, and then like
I think you just pulled up and dipped.
Oh my god, we had a huge fucking mishap with our hotel too.
It felt like that was the vibes because it was all the way in San Bernardino.
It was fucked. Like we booked our hotel, literally, I'm not kidding you, like a year before the festival, and we booked 2 rooms at the Marriott, like real close to the venue. And then literally the day my friends who came from New Orleans to go to the festival with us, as they landed, the hotel sent them an email saying that our reservation was canceled. Like the day, like the night we were supposed to go to the hotel, and I was like, fuck. So like we literally went to this like seedy ass fucking sketchy ass hotel. We got a room there. As soon as we set foot in the place, we were like, no, absolutely not. Like there was fucking like probably blood stains, I don't know what they were, on the wall. Like there was like bullet holes in the fucking door and shit.
Or die?
It literally, do you care if I live or die? The fucking lamp didn't even have a shade, and it also didn't have a light bulb. Like it was fucked. It was so fucked. But we eventually, like, we have a good friend who was going with us. Her parents were kind enough to let us fucking sleep in their living room, like fucking like 6 of us in their living room. But they were kind enough to let us stay.
I feel like those are the best festival trips, like when the Airbnb is in somebody's like house.
Yeah, I mean,
and there's like a nice ass person. I've had like one.
It was great.
I think I went to like a hard summer like that on some funny shit. Like I went to one ever, and it was like, it was an Airbnb, and it was like in Paris, California.
Where is that?
It's called Lake Paris, like Perris. I never been there in my life.
I've never heard of that.
But like it was a lady had Airbnb, had the room, bro. In the morning though, she had some spaghetti. Like that she cooked up.
I love spaghetti in the
home
morning.
Style. It was wild. Like it was really good though.
I can't even lie. Like spaghetti for breakfast.
Yeah, like she said it like it was no joke. Like she's like,
it's
yeah,
kind of
like
fire.
she was like, you gotta have the. She
enough.
almost looked at it like it would have been an insult to not have her homemade spaghetti, like, and just stay in her house, like. And I was like, all right, I'll eat this. Like I'm about to go back to hard summer though.
Honestly,
I'm wilding right now. Like,
not enough people realize like how fucking gas, like. You know, we have like our typical breakfast, lunch, and dinner type meals, like culturally, whatever. But not enough people realize how fucking gas it is to have like French toast for dinner and like spaghetti for breakfast, or like ramen for breakfast.
On Elf, they was doing it right. Like on Elf, he like that. I think there was some truth to what he was doing there.
Oh no, yeah.
With all the syrups and shit.
He was just way ahead of his time.
Yeah. Okay, but I think now it's a good time to talk about shit. You know, you got into Pierre Bourne, but like, would you got a question about the shit? I was how you get into liking that at all, and music. What was you about to say?
I mean, we could talk about that. I was just gonna ask about because we were talking about like the difficulty in seeing Pierre at like certain times, or like seeing it against other people, and I wanted to talk about like the difficulty that exists in like these festivals. Like,
look how much more it's getting now, right now, bro. I feel like it's intensifying. Like
every festival, and I've been going to festivals since I was like 15. But like every festival is always like that. Like the 2 people you want to see most are at the same time at different stages. Every fucking time. It's so annoying.
I feel like, you probably touch on this. What do you think? I think maybe like that Travis Scott like incident, I feel like that shit kind of pushed it to be worse, if you will. Because I feel like before I used to like see hella people like just on the time slots. I think to be safer, like they went with like now they schedule it like more breaks between where it's like
but
the
also
big ass artists like same time.
Other festivals will have multiple stages going at the same time. At Astroworld, they only had the one stage going, and you gotta think that's like 50,000 plus, maybe 60, 70,000 people at one stage. That's so unsafe. And I've never been to a festival that only had one stage running at a time.
Right.
Like that is, it was a nightmare waiting to happen from the beginning. Like,
I definitely think like after that shit though, like the festivals since then have been like basically like they've made an effort to like, how do you say, like basically put bigger acts at the same times to separate the amount of crowd.
I mean,
and
they,
like
they do that
I don't know
anyway.
if that was intentional on that end. I feel like it's always been.
It's always been
I feel like I've always had a
that.
few, but now I've seen it like since then. Like now where it's like 20-minute sets, bro.
because
No,
we're
yeah.
Everybody's essentially all at the same time.
Yeah.
Like no one could really be at one place at once if they wanted
Yeah.
to. You know, like before it was like the extreme of that, like where it was fucked up. You feel me? Like where it's
Yeah.
like everybody can be at one place
But
at one time.
I've never seen that at a festival until Astro World. Like I have never seen
Yeah, that's
only
the extreme
one
where it
stage.
was
Like,
really fucked
that
up.
Was, that
I
was
feel like now they're
fucked
going
planning.
opposite extreme. You get what I'm saying?
They're trying to keep everybody
They're like
safe.
now, yeah, that's what I'm like. I feel like it's
And
a
I feel
response to that.
I feel like it came mostly from like Travis being like such a narcissist. He's like, I want everyone at my set.
Yeah, exactly.
But that creates such a danger. There's so many fucking people.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's kind of
it's
like
so
they're probably
dangerous.
go like even when they try to get it as close as they can as
Yeah.
that, they're almost like there's certain barriers they can't
Because
get as close to that.
I've been to Camp
know?
Flogna 3 times, and I always say like I plan on going to Camp Flogna general admission every year until I play the main stage. You know, as an artist.
Exactly.
It's my favorite festival. It's fucking amazing, and I've been there 3 years, and Tyler always plays a set. Obviously,
That's
it's his
the one
festival.
that would say is pretty close to doing it right in the sense
It's-
of
it's
like
doing
you
it
could
so
see you
right,
could see a
'cause-
lot of the dope people you want to
'cause
see.
Tyler
It's not
will
crazy.
be Tyler will be
They're
at the
still-
main stage.
They still have artists at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Tyler
Yeah.
will be at the main stage
But
at
I
like
mean,
7
like, in the
p.m.
sense of where
but
it's
there's
like-
other artists happening.
I feel like it don't be the most. It'd be like one heartbreaking thing though in comparison to like now
Yeah,
I'm seeing
but
like
it's
it'd be
just-
like every person. It's split in the middle.
It's just the fact
like
of
you see
like
half of the people
it's
you
just
want
the
to see.
fact of having at least 2 or 3 stages going at once, as
Exactly.
opposed to having one stage
That's true.
going. Like
That's
it's
true.
so dangerous because if you only have one stage, where is everybody gonna go? That one
That's
stage.
the bigger point. Like how come they don't do the
You know,
3-stage festival
even
no more?
at Tyler's festival, like Tyler Camp Flogna, they have 3 stages.
Yeah.
Tyler will play at like prime time, like 7 p.m., and then have 2 other stages going. So nothing is too much. Like,
That's true. I was gonna say that too. Like, how come they don't do 3 stages no more too? That is like the thing that like would sauce
Well, I
it
mean,
up more.
yeah.
I feel like when
It's
they
also more that would hit me. I mean, like as far as like
I
safety
feel like-
concerns.
well, because I said like when
Yeah.
I went to
but
FYF,
as
like
far as
people like
difficulty in
this.
picking
You went
who
to
watch.
FYF.
Yeah, I went to FYF before they shut the shit down, and I will say they used
Bro,
to
I
have
never got
like
to
they had
go.
hella stages, and I think the cool
Yeah.
thing about it was spaced out, so that's a part of it. But it wasn't like everybody gathered the shit at the same time. It was almost like, how do you say, like you could catch shit in between.
Yeah.
Like I
that's-
feel like it was more ability to catch it in between, like how we were just talking about earlier about like where the stages are in distance. Like they still had the 2 main stages
Yeah.
at opposite ends,
That's-
but they had like opportunities the same way when I went to Outside Lands. Like they
I
had like
fucking
the
hated
panhandler.
Outside Lands.
Oh shit, we should talk about that. like how Outside Lands, I saw Saba at the panhandler stage. It was right next to one of the main stages, but it was like in the cut where I could kind of just stop by him for a good 20-15 minutes,
Yeah.
and I didn't have to walk nowhere, and I was still on my way to the next big stage. You feel
I
me?
mean, that's what I like about Hard Summer, because there's like the 2 main stages, Hard and Harder, and then they have the 3 like mini stages, like
Mm-hmm.
the pink, green, purple, and so they're so like it's so expansive, and there's so many stages going on at once. That
Exactly.
like yeah, it gets crowded sometimes, but like it's not overcrowded to the point where like people are getting hurt.
There's so much shit to do all at that
Yeah.
time. Like it's never like everybody's right fucking there.
Yeah.
Facts. So
yeah. What's
I
up?
think like I agree with you in the fact that it's just the amount of stages that it's like that's what creates it. But my concern with it, I get it where you guys are coming in from like a safety perspective, and I guess like
Yeah.
addressing that from like a single stage festival. I've only been to one that I felt like pulled it off right, and that was the Anderson Pack House one.
How does he do that shit? I've never been to that.
well,
But
he
how do-
probably
it's at a park,
he probably
so.
doesn't
Exactly.
oversell it
That's
either.
the point. That
Yeah,
this
okay.
is where I was gonna get with it is community and the fact that it's not oversaturated
Yeah.
because like
And I feel like ever since like COVID has started to chill out, like, and they've started having more events, like just in general around everywhere, people like event organizers are overselling all of these events, so they're so fucking crowded, and it's like COVID isn't over. Like we're not done. Like this disease is gonna be around forever at this point. We know that, right? But like people, they're overselling these shows to the point where it's so overcrowded that it almost is dangerous. And like I've always been someone who like I like to tend to hang out towards the back of the crowd so I have room to dance, because I need to like feel the music and like
Makes
dance,
sense.
you know. But still, like I went to a show a couple weeks ago at this club. Have you guys been to Academy?
Nah, we should go though. Bree was telling me about it.
It's lit. Like, it's really lit, and I've been there a few times before.
Especially
but the show,
we're about to move probably, and we haven't been to I haven't been to much EDM shit.
Yeah.
And she was saying that's like one of the main spots to see that type of shit.
It's a cool little club for sure. But like, I've been there before COVID, and I guarantee you, just based on my experiences there before and my most recent experience a couple weeks ago, they way oversold it. Like, it was so fucking packed that I was like, I literally cannot breathe. I can't move. Like, this is like, I was kind of scared for a second, but I was still having fun. I was, like, fuck it, I'm gonna dance, I'm gonna flail, if I hit somebody, fuck it, whatever. But like, they definitely oversold that shit, and I think that event planning organizers are doing that because they lost so much money in the 2 years that we've been out since COVID.
That's facts. I've heard a lot about that, and I've seen it, at least especially other festivals I've been to where it has felt like just overly packed than what it could have even been.
Yeah, which is why I love Camp Flog now. I feel like they do it right every time. Like, and I'm sad because I've gone 2 years without Camp Flog now. I'm tapping my foot for all the listeners.
Yeah, shit whack.
I'm pissed.
No,
I'm
fucking.
I'm
Do you think
I'm
he'll bring it back
pissed.
now that he has an album that COVID's kind of been restricted back?
I really hope
when
it comes back
when
this
time
year.
of the year do we come back, right?
I want to say
It's usually
like in
end of
November.
October, early November.
Yeah, it usually drops in summer.
Yeah, like
So
they
hopefully it drops this summer.
they dropped the announcement pretty like close to when it happens.
I think so. I think they should, bro, because honestly, like,
I hope
he took
so.
a whole last year off on
Because
it.
literally 2 years actually, but like for me, like Camp Flogna every year was like my like reset button kind of. Like, that festival for me has always been a spiritual experience. Like, it's the best festival.
What do you think about the change of venue though? Like in the OG
from,
venue to the new one.
Like from Expo to Dodger Stadium. Honestly, I had so much fun. The first time I went, it was at Expo. And then the last 2 times I went, it was at Dodger Stadium. All 3 times, like, I will say, like, it literally was perfect the first time, and it just keeps getting better and better every year. Dodger Stadium is dope because where they have, like, the Ferris wheel set up is right on the edge of the hill. So, like, you get, like, this beautiful view of all of LA down to the ocean. Like, it's amazing. But Expo was a dope time, too. But I gotta say, honestly, between the 2 venues, like, they were both great. It's just it's a great festival all around.
You feel like it's just like been getting better though with that change too. That shit, like,
I wouldn't say necessarily because of that change, but every year they keep getting better. So maybe that's part of it.
I feel that on the tip of like the performances and shit, because I went to like I think I only went to one of the Dodger Stadium ones, and I went like one day, but I saw like Kid Cudi and Kid See Ghost and shit, and that was fucking crazy. So I feel like that, like in that tip, it was definitely like a higher level of performance.
Yeah.
Like that shit in the box, like, you know what I mean?
That's the biggest thing for me about Camp Flogna compared to other festivals. Like, I've seen artists at other festivals and then seen them again at Camp Flogna, and I feel like at Camp Flogna, the artists put way more of their heart and soul into their sets than at other festivals. Like,
yeah, no.
I saw Jaden Smith at Hard Summer.
They go wild, low key.
I saw Jaden Smith at Hard Summer. Fucking sucked ass. It was my first time seeing him. Fucking sucked ass. But then a few months later, seeing him at Camp Flogna, it was like spiritual. Like, I feel like all the artists at Camp Flogna, they go harder to make their sets like.
Bro, I saw him
better.
come out at that day, I think, with the Brockhampton, and they shut that shit down. Like, the fire department came out.
Yeah, oh my god, that shit was crazy.
That was
I was
before
there.
Astroworld, and it was already happening.
Yeah,
like,
but at least they shut it down.
They did.
Yeah, like they literally like that was when it almost went like that, and they literally stopped them because they were getting too crazy, and then like and it was right when he came out.
I was
it was
in
kind
the
of
back.
a baby moment like that.
Yeah, I remember because
wet.
I was
Like,
there for that set. I was in the back of the crowd. Like I said, I like to stay to the back, like towards the back speakers, so I still get good sound and I have space to dance. They started playing Gummy, which is like one of the fucking
It's hard.
hardest
I remember
songs.
I was there.
It's one of the hardest songs that's come out the whole time we've been alive. Like, that song goes fucking crazy. They start playing that shit. I'm like, fuck yeah, I love this song. And then I see the fucking shit pop up on the screen that says the fire department is here. Everybody take 10 steps back. I was like, oh, fuck. Like, fuck. And I was like, thank God we were in the back, but like, nobody died.
Yeah, we were in the back too.
Nobody was seriously injured.
That's what kind of why it wasn't that, like, I guess scary to me, because I was in the back and I just seen this shit come up, and I was like, all right, I'm out.
Yep.
But I was like, fuck, like, I want them to finish their set. Like, I had seen them once before. I fuck with Brockhampton's music. Them as people, some of the things I've heard, I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
But their music I really love. So when that shit happened, I was like, they said like, oh, we're gonna postpone the set for like 30 minutes, and then they never came back on, and I was like, god damn it, like I really wanted to
Supposedly,
see.
I guess they did, but it was
They
at the same time
didn't.
as Kids See Ghosts.
Yeah, but I promise you they didn't, because we went to Kids See Ghosts and like we weren't fucking with it, so we went back to the stage that Brockhampton was playing at, and they never came back on.
I feel you, because I was there at Kids See Ghosts. I didn't dip.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it was. Like, I love Cuddy, and like the first time I went to Camp Flog Gnaw, I saw him because he closed out the whole festival the last day, and it was fucking amazing. Like, literally life-changing. Like, just thinking about it gives me chills. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh
it was
yeah,
so
that
good.
time was really great. I forgot that was like when he first came back from like rehab and all this shit, and then he said this like dope ass message on the mic and like how everybody missed him and shit.
It was
that was hella cool.
amazing. So I was excited for Kids See Ghosts, but like I don't know, just the sound, maybe where we were at in the crowd, and it was so crowded we couldn't get to like a good spot for like hearing. So I was like, I'm not really fucking with this. Like, let's go see if Brockhampton comes back on. They never came back on, so we just went on the fucking ride that was right behind the stage. We were like, fuck it, like whatever.
That probably was a big part of it too, though. We somehow finessed to be like right under the shit. Like we were like only a few feet like from the thing. Like that shit was crazy.
I'm the one out of all my friends that's like, we need to move to this point so we have the best, because
there was like pits and shit right there.
I'm the audio nerd, you know, so like I'm like, we need to move to this point in the crowd to be able to hear it properly, because I go to these festivals obviously first and foremost for the music, you know, so I be telling my friends, I'm like, we got to get to this point in the crowd so we can hear it properly, and they're like,
see, that's how you should break it down to me next time, Mauricio. You'd be like, see, like next time, like
I'm all
you gotta be like the sonic point. Like I never thought about it like that. Be like sonically, like I can't even hear this shit right.
Well, I mean, you make music, so you know, like in the studio, if you have your like studio monitors, like the best listening point to hear, if you have hella panning and effects going on, the best listening point is right in the middle, like a couple feet away, depending what your speaker setup is. And if you're listening from like off to the side, you're not gonna get all of those like panning side effects and shit, you know, like, and it's the same with live performances, even though they're in mono, but the speakers, the way they're pointed and shit, like you got to get in that right spot.
That's true. Like if they're doing anything with them, you're gonna get like the full view of it, kind of being more so just like center.
Yeah. Damn, that wind
That's
was
crazy.
really howling for a second.
But shit, have you ever performed yourself, like live and shit?
Yeah, I actually had so like, I've performed more than a few times in my life, music-wise, but my first time performing just original music was last summer in July. It was fucking amazing. My friend Stone, at Stone Love J on Instagram, he has a store called Wave Studios DTLA. He hosts events there a lot, and so he had a collab with another brand. So for their big drop party, they had a mini festival. So it was Off the Wave Fest, and I got to be one of the performers on the lineup. It was so cool. It was my first time performing all original music, and it was such an adrenaline rush. Like, I only got to have like a 10-minute set, but as soon as I got off, like, I was so nervous before, but as soon as I got off, I went back to the DJ. I was like, can I give you more instrumentals? Like, put me back on. Like, this was so much fun. So that was my really only time getting to like actually perform. I can't wait to do it again. It was so much fun. So yeah.
Damn, yeah. I feel like I one day would want to put, everybody I feel like would, but I would want to perform at a festival for sure. Like I feel like that's one of my, you know, like dreams or goals. Like I feel like that shit is just, I don't know. It's like I've been to so many, and I've always like kind of, even when I'm there, I feel like looking at them and seeing what they do and studying it was kind of part of what made me really want to make music more for real. Because I was like, all right, this is the part about it that, like, you know what I mean, outside of the other shit makes you money and like will continue you like doing it, and you get like, you know, you get to see the people that fuck with their music and shit.
That's what I was saying about, like, I'll go to Camp Flog Gnaw general admission every year until I play the main stage, you know. Even if I like pop off as an artist and don't get booked for main stage, I'll still go general admission. I don't care. Like, I don't fuck the VIP, whatever. But like, my favorite thing to do in my free time for fun is go see live music, because every time I go do that, like, I'm inspired. I leave feeling inspired, and Camp Flog Gnaw has been the most inspiring event for me every time. I leave feeling like remembering why I do what I do, why I make music, why I, you know,
Exactly. I
All
feel like
that.
I've had that experience a lot of times there for sure. And the other
Yeah.
festivals. And I was literally just telling today another homie that I'm working with producing the show, Rattler, that like, you know, we were trying to figure out a day we were next going to work on some music. And then it was
Yeah.
going to be like the day after I'm going to go to Smoking Grooves. And I literally just said that, like what you said. I was like,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be fresh from the concert.
Yeah, Smoking Grooves
Like
is gonna
extra
be
motivated.
lit.
Because I already know that every time I just go to something like
Yeah.
that, it just hits you in that way. Like, you know what I mean? You just know it does. Like,
Yeah.
you just see
For
where you
real.
want to be and you see it on like that level. Like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck, like, this is sick. Like,
Pine Tree Radio.
about to go see. We're talking about the same shit. I'm about to go see to a Lucky Day concert in 2 weeks.
Lucky Day.
Yeah, but in my job, they think I'm closing, but like if somebody can't cover me. She was trying to say like 2 people
They
is
think
fun to
I'm
work.
closing.
Yeah,
I'm not coming.
I'm like, nah. If 2 people, like if me and the nigga that said he's down to cover me are working at the same time, I'm about to call you and say I'm not coming in.
Yeah, no, fuck no. Lucky Day is so good. What's your favorite song?
My favorite song, Misunderstood, is up there. I like slow songs, but
Yeah,
I also
me
like
too.
his fast songs. I mean, like, he got like some shit that's
I
not
like
like extra
them.
slow. That's crazy.
I gotta
too.
say,
Late
Real,
Night is
Real
hard.
Games is probably my favorite.
That one's tough too. See, that whole
It's
album
so
goes
good.
crazy.
That
That's
whole
why
album was so
that
good.
album is so fucking good. It's like I like
So
Karma.
good.
I like what's the other one? Late Night, and then Misunderstood, bro. Misunderstood.
That album
Misunderstood
was
and
so
Love You Too
good.
Much though are my favorite too. My bad. Those 2 are my favorite too. But now I've been listening to the new album a lot.
Yeah, for
Cause
sure.
it's about to be a tour for that one, so I'm like
I know.
It's gonna be
Oh my
crazy, bro.
god. When are you seeing him?
on this next Friday
He's playing where?
at the Novo.
God damn
And on
it.
that Saturday, we're about to have. I was gonna tell you. I already told Bree. We're gonna have like the finale of like the podcast. So we have like of the first season. We pretty much invite everybody who's been on it, and then we do like a group podcast. We did one,
sure.
but it was like in the mid-season, and we kind of had like half of the
I
people
peeped
on.
that. I was checking out like the page.
Yeah, like now we're gonna have like one. Just pretty much this is gonna be like the finale one with everybody that's been on from these next. Cause it's gonna be like 32
sure.
episodes, like about.
For sure.
So I think there's like 11, 12 episodes left.
Cool.
That are about to
Yeah.
start dropping on Monday and Fridays again now.
For sure. Alright, what are we talking about next?
We were just like, I think Maurice was gonna tell us a little bit about like, I don't know, he was just gonna talk about, I think some shit we were talking about, like the festival shit,
Okay,
and then
for
we were gonna talk about just shit. Go back to fucking when you started making music shit.
Yeah, for sure.
pretty
I'd
good
love
question.
to talk about like what I'm like working on now and shit.
Yeah, that part we always did like the other end too. Like I'm
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna ask like what you are doing
Yeah,
now,
for
what
sure.
you're gonna put out, what you've been working on.
I've been working on a lot.
I like to
so.
hear what people are inspired, like getting inspired by too. Currently, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I've been
Like,
inspired by a lot recently, so I'm excited to talk about it. But yeah, I've been working on a lot of new shit.
I've been seeing that too. You're posting like songs and snippets of shit you've been
Yeah, the new stuff I'm working on, I'm so excited to put it out. Like I'm really proud of it, and yeah, I'm working on some stuff right now with my homie. He just got signed to like a major label, and he's about to get me featured on 2 of his songs. So I'm really excited to do that. It's gonna be great because he's like been like a makeup influencer for a while, so he's got hella followers. He just started doing music, but because of like followers and shit, whatever, like, you know, at least it'll,
doing. You know, so there's more people to find out about you.
yeah,
and
more
shit.
people to hear me and more people to, you know, so, and getting to record with his label, that I'm so excited about that. So I can't mention who it is.
It's cool. Would
For
you,
legal
would
reasons.
you want to sign to a label, or would you want to be like independent?
If I was presented the right deal at the right time, I would think about it. But I do love being independent, so.
What does the right deal mean to you?
The right deal means that I would have creative freedom, but also support in that creative freedom. So like funding to bring my ideas to life. And I would get to keep all of my masters for me. And, you know, basically, yeah, the right deal would just be a deal that would allow me to have all the creative freedom, but support me in that and help me, you know, book shows, book festivals, like bring my ideas
You
to
can deal
life.
in your favor.
Yeah, bring
essentially.
my ideas to life without taking away my creative freedom, because I have such a vision and I have so many things that I want to say. And I don't want to be stifled by that, but I am also open to like other writers and stuff, like, you know, whatever, but it would have to be the right deal at the right time. Yeah.
But yeah, anything you want to say, touch on the festival experience before we were gonna get into a little bit of just, you know, how you got into music in the first place.
Not much, honestly. I feel like it was just gonna say, like, I felt like I resonated 100% with, like, both of you guys. Like, it is very inspiring just going to these festivals and, like, going intentionally for that reason. Like,
yeah. I go for spiritual reasons. Like, for me, music is very spiritual. So when I go see live music, I always take it as a spiritual experience, not as like I'm here to party, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, yeah.
I feel that. No, in that vein, like, I feel like in a weird way, festivals and, like, live music has always kind of come into my life at, like, very pivotal times. Like, so many times in, like, my life, I feel like if I think about it, there's, like, have been kind of, like, marked with, like, these, like, certain festivals and certain performances that were just, like, I don't know how to best describe it other than...
Yeah, I feel like I know exactly what you're saying, because, like, I'll have, like, artists that I really fuck with, for example, like, release a new album, and, like, I will listen to it, but then I'll rediscover it when it's right for me. Like, this shit, like, either, like, for example, Igor by Tyler, the Creator, that album came out at the perfect time for me, because that album's all about starting a relationship, getting into a relationship, it becomes toxic, and then, like, at the end he says, you know, like, are we still friends, like, whatever. That album came out at a perfect time for me, because I had just gotten out of, like, a very toxic relationship, and I was still thinking, like, oh, maybe we could still, you know, whatever. But they either come out at the perfect time for me, or they come out and then I rediscover them at the perfect time for me. And so seeing Tyler live, the 3 times that I have seen him live, every time has been fucking amazing. Like, every time I've laughed, I've cried, I've shaken my ass, I'm like, you know, like, it's every emotion encapsulated into one. And I think that that is why he's one of my favorite artists, and why he's someone that I continue to follow. And I think we all have artists like that. Like, I have a lot of artists that are like that for me.
I feel like that one, I feel that for sure. The one for me, I think, is Kanye. For his events and concerts, every time I've gotten the chance to see them, they're just like...
It's like at the pivotal point in your life. Like,
in every time, bro. I don't know, like, it's weird.
Tyler's that for me. And, like, Lana Del Rey, all of her albums that she's ever released, and, like, I've literally been listening to her since I was 11, which is fucking crazy. I've also been listening to Tyler since I was, like, 11, which is fucking crazy. But every album Lana has released, I feel like she released at a time when it really spoke to me, and which is weird because she's so much older than me, you know. But you know, I think that's the big reason why I make music. I think it's why any of us make music, is so that we can touch people's hearts and, you know, make them not feel so alone, or whatever it may be, you know.
what the fuck?
I'm trying to block the mic from the wind.
Got crazy.
That was a big gust.
But
Did I do that?
I definitely agree with, like, what both of you guys are saying on the tip of, like, on both, like, let's say in concerts and, like, in artists, like, just the impact of, like, their albums too, and the times when they drop, like, how they've certain albums have, like, Kid Cudi, Speeding Bullet to Heaven. Like, I feel like when that came out, it was very timely for me. Like, I was, like, kind of, like, unsure of what I was doing. I don't feel like I was going in the right direction, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So it came out, and then I was just like, all right, like, he was kind of embracing that musically. But then there's also times like that where you describe, like, Igor, where, like, I definitely felt the same way that you kind of felt, but I was too much of, like, a weenie with it. Like, I low-key just stopped listening to the album.
Really?
No, yeah, like, I loved it when it came out, but it was too on the money for me, like, of what you're saying. That
you're kind of trying to, like, avoid
and there was
those
a lot of
emotions.
people where, like, some people, it was on the money for them, and they were like, I fuck with this, like, this is what I want to hear.
It was on the money for me when it came out, and so, like, I listened to it just constantly, and I still do. And,
I did it for, like, a week or, like, 2, and I was just like, all right. I was like, I don't know, something about it. I was just like, that was one of my first experiences like that, though. But live experience, I feel like it's been consistent, if you will, in the sense of, like, just, like, I don't know, the stars aligning or some shit, or, like, the shit that they decide to, like, just do in that moment or say, or, like, you know what I'm saying, it really just kind of like, they always throw some inspirational shit, especially Tyler. Like you mentioned, like, a lot of times at his festivals, I've always caught a really fire performance by him. He's amazing. He said a couple of, like, really inspirational things about, like, you know, his journey to get there, and, like, those shits be hitting when you really be like, damn, like, all right, I could make it here, like, you know.
For real, yeah.
But yeah. So getting to the fun stuff now. I mean, when did you yourself start to make music and all that, or did you start off like writing songs or all that, or would you start off producing?
Honestly, like I'm about to explain a very long-winded but spiritual story about how I got into making music. I like my earliest memories of life at like 4 years old or some shit. My earliest memories of life were like, it was like almost like seeing a prophecy. Like I know I'm gonna like be a pop star or something. Like I'm gonna do something big with music. Like that's my shit. And I was like 4. Like how could I have known that, But I just knew. And then I've been singing as long as I can remember being alive. I played the flute in the 5th grade. I played the cello in 7th grade. Currently saving up for an electric cello so I can like mix it in. Like I DJ sometimes, saving up for a CDJ and an electric cello so I can like mix the cello and like live play it in with like some trap beats. Like I think that'd be sick. But yeah, that, and then I started playing guitar in the 8th grade because my uncle, if you guys have ever heard of Sammy Hagar or Edgar Winter, they were like huge rock bands in the 70s. My uncle was their drummer, Chuck Ruff. He was fucking dope. And like I remember being like 12 and like at Christmas every year he would bring a guitar and play music for the whole family, and I would just be like, wow, like he's so cool, like I want to be like him, And 8th grade, when I was 13, he played with the guitar I have now, and he told me he was going to teach me how to play guitar. But he got really sick after because he lived that rock star lifestyle, He needed a liver transplant, and as soon as he got to the top of the list, like he was next to get his transplant, his kidney started failing and he passed. So his wife gave me that guitar that he promised to teach me to play on. So that's the guitar that I taught myself to play on shortly after. And when I started teaching myself how to play, I don't know if you guys played guitar or bass or anything like that, any stringed instruments.
I mean, I've never have, but we have a bass that Mauricio got in the stew, and I've seen him play it, and then I fucked around and played it a few times in there, but I don't know how to play bass.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you play...
I have a guitar, too. I have an acoustic guitar. I'm dumb. Yeah,
if you play, like, stringed instruments like that, like, your fingers, like, you have to, like, build up calluses because it hurts.
That's what I've heard about that. I think that's why I got not into it, because, I always played piano when I was young.
Yeah.
And that was something I was a little, afraid of, but you bossed past that point, like, when you were young?
Yeah, so I started teaching myself how to play, just, like, looking up songs, learning how to play certain chords, and, like, playing songs that I liked. And every day, the first, like, week or two that I was teaching myself how to play, every day I would get so frustrated because my fingers hurt so bad, and I would be like, okay, fuck it. Like, I would get, like, upset. I would be like, I'm going to set it down. I'll pick it back up tomorrow, whatever. But then, like, 10 minutes after that, I would have this, like, just, like, I would just hear this voice being like, pick it back up, like, keep going. I played so much in that first week that my fingers bled. Like, I literally cut my shit open. Like, it was fucked.
I'm pretty sure it's like what has to happen, right?
Yeah, but like, I mean, not generally, like, you should take breaks. Like, I just was like,
no.
So, and I feel like that was my uncle, he promised he would teach me how to play, but he passed before he could. So I feel like that was him, like, his energy coming to me, like, So I taught myself to play guitar in the 8th grade, and then I started playing piano shortly thereafter, always sang. For my senior project in high school, I don't know if y'all's high schools did that. A lot in the country did.
I'm trying to remember if I feel like, is it like some shit everybody had to do? And
yeah, so like,
I don't think.
It's like every senior has to do a senior project. So like, you pick something you want to do, you get a mentor, and then you write like a 12-page like research paper on it and like present it to your.
You went to a good school.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, hard, but like a lot of schools, like it used to be a thing that was like at most schools in the U.S. And then when I became a senior, it was like kind of dwindling out. But so for my senior project, I did 3 cover songs with somebody in my hometown who was like my mentor. She was teaching me like how to record and stuff. And my songs were I Hate You, I Love You by Nash and whatever that girl's name is, Weak When You're Around by Black Bear, and Gatekeeper by Feist. And I played all the instruments, recorded all the instruments acoustically, recorded all my own vocals, mixed them all myself. They're now privated on my SoundCloud because I am like embarrassed by them. But like, for where I was at and the resources I had, they were pretty good. But then after high school, I moved to the Bay, went to business school because my parents wanted me to do something practical and you can do music on the side. And big incentive for me to go to this business school was I got recruited for their cheer team. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll go because like I love cheer, whatever. I'll do music on the side. But my classes were from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. some nights, and my lunch break was completely taken up by cheer practice. And I fucking hated my teachers, hated the school. My classmates were awesome, and I'm still in contact with a lot of them to this day. Like, we talk daily. But it got to a point, like, halfway through my first semester, I called my dad crying, and I was like, Dad, like, literally, I'm about to jump. Like, I lived on the 3rd floor of my dorm building. I was like, Dad, I'm not fucking kidding. I'm about to jump out the window head first, no hands. Like, if I cannot get the fuck out of here. I hated it so much. I was like, I have no time to learn how to, produce.
I feel that. I went to business school when I first graduated, high school type shit. Like,
yeah, literally.
On kind of the idea of like that, like I felt like it was practical to whatever I wanted to do. Like, it was like, it'll be the business of it.
Exactly.
But when I got in there, dead ass though, like the people that were in there kind of did. I don't know. I didn't feel like I belonged with them on the tip of like. A lot of people I felt like were already had a business or something that they were doing at the time, when I was still like in my I was 18, 19, still trying to figure out, wanted to explore who I was and who I wanted to be.
I went to school,
everyone there was like, I'm gonna be this robotic style of person, and they're like, this is how you maneuver this shit.
And that shit freaked me out because I was like, bro, like I'm too much of like an artist for this fucking structured shit. But yeah, so like I was like, at one point I was like, I have to put my foot down. Like, I want to go to music school because I don't have the time with the way my schedule is at this business school that I hate to teach myself how to use fucking even GarageBand. Like, I had GarageBand, but I had no time to teach myself how to really use it. And so I was like, I have to put my foot down. I have to follow my heart. If you're passionate about something, the money will come eventually, and that's something that I wish that I had heard earlier than I did, because then I wouldn't have so much fucking student loan debt. But yeah, so I ended up moving back home for the summer, and then I started at the LA recording school in Hollywood. I got the...
So you went there?
You went there?
I did.
No way! When?
It's true.
I don't know what year it was. Fuck. Maybe like 2 years ago. 29.
Sure. Yeah. I started in September 2017, and I got 2 degrees before I turned 21: Associate of Science in Music Production, and then Associate of Science in Audio Engineering. And then January 1st, 2020, I released my first single, fully, not the beat I didn't make, my homeboy made it, but other than that, fully self-produced, engineered, recorded in my bedroom, everything. And I was like, releasing that January 1st, 2020, I was like, this is gonna be my fucking year. And then we all know what happened, so. But yeah, so since then, I had a major injury. January 18th of 2020, I fell about 20 feet, and I was in a wheelchair when the pandemic started. And yeah, it was fucked. Like, if I was hungry, if I had to eat, I literally couldn't make myself food. Like, I was heavily reliant on other people, and I'm the type of person, like, I hate relying on other people. Like, I'm like, I feel bad, like having to ask people for help. If I had to eat, if I had to use the restroom, like my roommate literally had to lift me from my bed, put me in my wheelchair, which was painful enough because I had shattered my pelvis amongst other things. And then I have to hold my weight on my arms over the toilet just to pee every day. Like, it was horrendous. I was like, fuck. But I spent that time where I could really only be in bed and not do shit, just lay on my back and watch fucking BoJack Horseman. I spent that time, I love that show. I spent that time just writing a lot and like researching and like planning how I was going to grow in my skills as an artist and as an audio engineer, and I've continued to do that. I released my first EP on August 8th of 2021. Right? Yeah, right? Yeah. I'm like 2020 or 2021. Time doesn't exist, but... So
you relatively had a in-depth background on music, but like as an artist, is relatively like recent. When you went to like school, that was like a big part of you like forming it.
That was a big part of it for sure, but I would say like the most growth that I've had as an artist has happened in the last 2 years, for sure. Like since the pandemic started, in the last 2 years, that's the most growth I've made as an artist. And so I released my first EP, and I was really proud of it. I recorded, mixed and mastered, wrote the whole thing myself in my bedroom, and it came out really good, and I'm really proud of it. And now the stuff I'm working on now, I'm like looking back on that EP and I'm like, wow, like I've grown so much since then, and it's only not even been a year, you know, or maybe it has been, I don't know, time isn't real, whatever. But I'm listening to the stuff I'm making now and then going back to that EP and thinking, wow, the growth I've made in not only as a writer, but as a singer and an artist and audio engineer, all things. Like, the growth I've made has been really cool to see, and the stuff I'm working on now, I'm so excited to put out. Like, I've got a lot of stuff in the works. I'm working on something with my good friend Leo. You can find him on Instagram at LeoRum, LeyoRum. I'm working on some really exciting stuff with him, and working on possibly what could be my first album, or maybe I'll just release them all as singles, who knows. But the stuff I'm working on right now, I'm so excited about. Like, I listen to it all the time and I'm like, wow, like, I can't believe I made that. Like, that's so fucking cool. So, and I'm really looking forward to having more growth as an artist and, you know, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Very cool. Wow. That was a really, like, I feel like interesting perspective on that, because I feel like it's something that resonates very similarly a lot in that, at least like towards the later end. Like, it's amazing to see like your story with how you grew into like music, and how you started with music, like how you literally went from 4 years old on, like, can you talk about that a little bit more, like the prophetic side of it? How does that, like, going even living throughout life with it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, it's crazy to think about, like, I'm like, literally my earliest memories of life are knowing, like, just this sense of knowing that, like, just this deep intuition, even though I had no clue who I was, no clue where I was fucking 4 years old, you know, but just this deep sense of knowing that, like, I was going to do something big with my life and make impact. And then throughout all that time until I got to go to the recording school, I was constantly told by teachers, my parents, my family, music isn't practical, like, do something more practical, whatever, like, you know, you got to do something that you know will make you money, whatever. And so hearing that so much throughout my life made me think, like, oh, like, they're probably right, I should do something practical, like, music is never going to work out, whatever. But it got to a point where I was like, you know what, I just can't see it any other way. Music is going to work out. It has to, because there's nothing else in the world for me. Like, all I really want, like, I don't need to be like on Drake's level. I don't need to be the #1 pop artist in the world. I just want to impact people enough with my music, make people feel like they're not alone in their struggles through expressing my struggles in my music. And just on another side of it, I also want to make people feel like bad fucking bitches, like with, like, you know, my fun songs. Like, I want to make people feel like bad bitches. I want to make them feel like they're not alone, whatever. And even if I don't get to, like, top #1, like, Doja Cat level, whatever, as long as I'm making a living off it and I'm impacting somebody's life, that's all I really want. So it's definitely been a struggle for me throughout my life, because I've been told so much, like, do something practical, get a business degree, you know, be an accountant, be a lawyer, be a doctor, whatever. And taking all of that in, and then really trying to get a business degree, and then fucking hating my life for it. And I was like, you know what? No, music has to be it. It just has to. There's no other way.
Definitely. I thought that was interesting how you guys pointed out that part about, like how you got the guitar, you know what I mean? Because, like, I feel like that made me think, like, I forgot I had the guitar, and I realized that, like, that was like my dad's guitar when he was like 13, and, like, he'd take lessons and shit like that, and, like, he knew how to play, like, some folk songs and shit, and he'd always be like, oh, like, that's why I ended up taking piano lessons, because he said he never really, like, finished it, and he was like, you know, kind of like was pushing me to be like, nah, you should, like, take some shit, because he was saying I wish I would have, like, finished the lessons. But I would always fuck around with that guitar. I would even remember when I was in middle school, I had friends over, And like I kind of knew that, like looking back, those are some of the times when I knew this was maybe something I should do, because I had like a harmonica that was my grandpa's. But
harmonica?
Yeah, and
That's
I never
do you
think
know
of
how
the
to play it?
significance of all these things. Are like, yeah, I do, because I used to fuck around and
That's
play it
cool
when
as
I was
fuck.
like young. Like I would be goofing around with it to the point where my friends would come over and I'll get that out, my acoustic guitar out, and then like the little keyboard piano, and then we'll all jam and act like we a band, but not really be in rhythm, but be trying to make shit, but just out of like boredom, like being in the house bored. Like
that's the most beautiful part about like getting together with other creatives, is like sometimes you don't know how it's gonna go, but you just find that magic sweet spot at some point. And like the guitar that I got from my uncle, from his wife, she gave it to me. It's an Ibanez Day Tripper acoustic electric. It's fucking beautiful. It's like really small. That's why it's called a Day Tripper, because you can take it on like planes, trains, buses. So it's like small enough, but it sounds like a big guitar, and you can plug it in, and it literally sounds so beautiful. But also like my name, Maad Hunni, I got my name for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, how'd you come up with that?
Yeah, so basically the first thing that sparked it was I want to say like maybe 4 years ago. I was in bed at like 6 a.m., couldn't sleep. I was watching Vice documentaries on YouTube, as one does, at 6 a.m.
Vice got good shit on there now.
Yeah, and I was watching this one about Maad Hunni, which basically this village in Nepal, at a certain time of year, it's like a tradition for all the men in the village to like climb up the mountain and harvest this honey from this specific species of bee, that at this time of year, if you harvest the honey and you like ingest it as a human, it has psychedelic effects. So that kind of like inspired me, because I love psychedelics.
I didn't even know that honey could be psychedelic. That's crazy.
But they call it Maad Hunni.
Oh.
So, but spelled normally. Like,
oh, this is what Winnie the Pooh's on?
No,
I've been trying to solve this the whole time.
If you go on the going on the Winnie the Pooh ride at Disneyland after watching that documentary, I see it way differently.
Bro, that's my favorite ride at Disneyland.
Me too. That one.
That's what I'm saying. Like I've been trying to crack the code. Those are my two favorite rides.
Because they're trippy. But yeah, now
exactly.
Going on that Winnie the Pooh ride after learning about Maad Hunni, I was like,
yeah, that puts so much together. Like I thought they were just trying to be a little goofy.
I was like,
but like I didn't think there was nothing really connected to honey. Like
this bear is on drugs, but that's where like the idea sparked from.
He was geeked off the honey.
That's where the idea sparked from, and then like I love like honey, like as a pretty much pesca vegan. I was vegan at one point. I was vegetarian at one point.
I try to be like a pesca vegan. It's hard out here though.
Yeah, I'm like mostly pesca vegan. I eat cheese and eggs, but like not much,
like eggs sometimes.
Not much dairy at all. So like almost pesca vegan, but I just eat what makes me feel good. But like 90% of my diet would not be possible without bees. Because without bees pollinating shit, the only crops we would have is like wheat and corn. And like corn actually presents no dietary like, what's the fucking like advantages to us?
It always looked like that to me. That's why they sauce it up with all the extra shit on it, because like corn itself is just
Don't get me wrong. Like
saying,
I love corn. I love elote.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like they make elotes, because corn itself, it ain't really like
you can't. We actually cannot
with all the shit on it.
Yeah,
fire.
we actually cannot digest corn. I know y'all looked at your shits after you fucking ate corn.
That's what I'm saying.
And
corn
you see
is
the
just
kernels
like
in
there, bro. Like corn is nuts. They don't even like get in your body and like get active.
But
like,
yeah, so like without bees, like 90% of my diet would not be possible. And then I spell Maad, M-A-A-D. Kendrick Lamar was a huge inspiration for me as when I was young, like in high school. When To Pimp a Butterfly came out, I listened to that album straight through every morning getting ready for school. And so like Good Kid, Mad City was also super influential to me. Like I love Kendrick, and so Maad, M-A-A-D, stands for, on his album, stands for My Angels on Angel Dust. When my uncle passed, the one who I got the guitar from, who was going to teach me and shit, who I think still did teach me spiritually, before he passed, he was writing a memoir about his life, talking about, his life as a rock star and like all of his experiences and whatever. And at his celebration of life, they showed some of the excerpts of like what he had written so far, and I was literally like 13 in 8th grade reading this shit about him fucking smoking weed laced with angel dust. And so I feel like my angel on angel dust is with me while I'm creating music. Like he is with me at all times. Like I feel him so much when I'm playing guitar, when I'm playing piano, when I'm singing, when I'm writing. Like my angel on angel dust is guiding me. So yeah, Maad Hunni.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like coming up with your name is always like a hard ass process.
It was so difficult.
And it's cool when it has like a deep ass meaning. Like I wish my shit had like a deep meaning like that. Like like mine's really just like the deepest meaning I come with it is that my last name is Thomas. So a lot of times I always thought West would make sense because I could put like a period at the end of it and people call me West. But I've always, the only other thing I mentioned is like I second guessed it only in comparison to like my full name. Like 'cause I always thought of that, like what was I if I was just like, you know, people always be like, this is my stage name now, like my full entire name.
I mean, like Maad Hunni is my stage name, but like even since so before I came up with my stage name Maad Hunni, I for years was like, fuck, what is my stage name gonna be? Because like my government name is so boring.
So yeah, that's where it comes in. Like some people have names where they feel like that name could be the name, but me, I never really
it took me
so
long to find it. And like once I watched that Vice documentary at 6 a.m. sleep deprived as fuck, I was like that's it. But I gotta find like a special way to like spell it, and it all just kind of came to me. Finding your artist name is so hard, like especially when, you know, for me, like my music is such a spiritual thing for me. Like when I'm creating, when I'm releasing, it's all so spiritual to me. I wanted my name to be, you know, cognizant of that, if that's the right way to say it. But, you know, now since then, I've slowly started to just go by Hunni. Like when I meet people and they're like, oh, what's your name? Like I like to be called Hunni, Hunni. Like that's just, I feel like that's who I am now, you know, like I am Maad Hunni, like, and it's the name I chose for myself out of spiritual reasons, and that's why I want to be called that. So even in my daily life, people call me Hunni. So
curious to know how, like, since like if you ever mix music or produce music for other people, being that like it's such a spiritual thing for you, or is it something where it's like you like mostly do that like in regards to your own stuff? Would you ever like step outside to produce other people's shit? I feel like it could possibly be like difficult. You feel me? Yeah.
So like, okay. So I have like mixed and mastered a couple other artists' songs, not friends of mine, not people I've known, just people who have gotten connected to me online through people I know. And I've only done it like twice, and both times were horrendous. Like, and not on my part, on the part that like I was doing my fucking best, but they would send me their stems and I would give them as good of a mix as I could because they recorded it like shit, and I would try to fix all of the problems and also give them like a pretty mix, something that was sonically pleasing. And I was only charging like $80 for a mix and master. Like I wasn't even charging hourly. I wasn't doing invoices or any of that. And they would be asking for so much. And then the first person that I ever did that for, he asked me on 3 separate occasions how to make a file folder on his computer so that he can put the stems in the file folder and email it to me, and how to compress it. 3 separate times asked me how to do that. I was like, I need to be charging way fucking more for this shit. Like, bro, I do not have the fucking time to teach you how to fucking use your computer. Like, and then this chick hit me up the other day on Instagram. I forget who connected her to me, but she hit me up and she was talking about having me as a live sound engineer for an event in the fall time. And I was like, fuck yeah, I haven't done live sound in so long, and when I did it in the past, I loved it. Like doing live sound was so much fun. Like I'm really good at it. I enjoy doing it. And then she literally had no fucking clue what she was asking for. We're literally messaging back and forth for like 2 weeks, and I'm like, what is it that you actually want? Because she kept saying some confusing ass shit. And then all of a sudden she's like, no, like, what's your rate for mixing and mastering? 2 hours. I'm like, do you need a recording engineer? Because if you need a recording engineer, I can record whatever artist you're trying to get me to record, plus like a rough mix. After that, I'm going to charge extra for a full mix and master. But like, what are you actually asking for? And like, she literally did not know what the fuck she was asking for. So I was like, okay, you're being moved from my primary to my general to collect us. Like, I don't have the time for this shit. Like, no, I don't have the time for this shit.
In the sense where you got like excited for it, where it's something you want to do, and then they're like not even kind of meeting you halfway on it, like, and like, to get it done.
Like, we went from a live sound for an event to mixing and mastering in a studio, but like is recording. Like, I'm like, First of all, if you're going to hit me up about any of my services, because after that first guy that was like such a headache for me, I was like, I took down off my story highlights my mixing and mastering and recording menu. I had a whole fucking graphic made of like my rates. After that guy, I took it off. I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to focus on making my own music and making music with my friends. And then this chick hits me up and I'm like, after 2 weeks of going back and forth, and she doesn't know whether she wants a live sound engineer or a recording engineer. I'm like, I don't have time for this.
That's weird. They're hitting you up without knowing
what I'm saying.
She wants you to do.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't know what you need, why are you hitting me up? Like, I'm a professional. I have a degree in this shit. So like, I'm just done dealing with people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So I'd rather just focus on my own music. Because that's what I'm really in the game for anyway, is for my own shit, for my own art. Because first and foremost, I am an artist. So, you know, like, I'll mix and master shit for friends who I know what the fuck they're talking about, you know? That's cool. But, like, yeah, no, I'm done dealing with people who don't know what they're talking about.
Think about that process as somebody who mixes a lot of shit. And that, like, the idea of, like, I don't know, like, the mixing and mastering of, like, your music and, like, just producing it itself, being spiritual and the connection to it versus, like, you know what I mean, doing it for other people. I feel like we've had our experience of that, like, the good ends and the bad ends, like, of that, like, especially in shit we've had, like, a little run with that, too. Remember where it was, like, with the homie, like, we could bleep it, you know what I'm talking about, like, I feel like that's our only, like, real experience of, like, where it was, like, kind of just a lot of the good and bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it was like times where you were like, yeah, this is lit, you know what I mean? And then times where it was like, nah, this feels like you said, so that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, what do they even want? Like,
no,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's frustrating as fuck. Like, I'm good at what I do. I'm really good at what I do, and I deserve to be paid for what I'm doing. And it's just frustrating when people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm like, okay, you're getting moved to my general section of my messages to collect dust because I don't have the fucking time. I'm doing so much every day. I don't have the time to teach you what the fuck you need.
And that was a lot of the tip that, like, I've experienced on the negative side with that, where it was, you know, we're at least from what I had seen, you know what I'm saying? It was just like a one person that, like, when we were entertaining on that tip, where say you made like the flyer on a business end tip outside of just working with people you want to work with, you know, and the homies. Like,
yeah, well, my homie made the flyer for me because she's great at graphic design.
Right,
so.
like, that's hard, but I just said, like, when we dabbled in like that area was when I saw the taste of that, I guess, if you will. And the taste of that, if you will, like, sometimes was the person like having extra questions and shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like on some other shit.
Yeah.
Like some whole other shit.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
you know what I mean? And it was kind of like confusing. Like,
it's
it was
just
like,
frustrating as a creative. Like, even my friend that made the flyer, like the menu for me, as a creative in any type of creative space, it's frustrating when people come to you for services and you do your best for them and then they're like, oh no, like, I actually want this or whatever. And it's like, it's cool to have a couple edits, whatever, but then you constantly are going back and forth between one thing to another, and they're like, dude, like, figure out what you want, because, like, I don't want to overcharge, but I also want to charge for what my worth is.
Yeah, I've also been on the other end of that, where, like, we've made a lot of edits to another person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, if you're paying,
but I feel
for
like, but it's yeah, exactly. It's always been in a way where we know what we are, like, wanting to change about it. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, and if you paid for this, and I want to just change this and that.
If you're paying the person for their time and effort, then that's great. But there are some people that literally don't know what the fuck they want. They keep going back and forth, and they're not willing to pay more, and then they ask for a refund when you're like,
that's can you just? I don't think we've ran into that. That's crazy.
The first guy I was talking about.
Have you ran into that yet? Where somebody's like, "Nah, I want a refund."
The first guy
on the mix, like, that you did, or like, you know what I mean? They're like, nah, like, or some shit you did, like a graphic you made. They're like, nah, give my money back.
No, because I've only had a very few limited instances of me, like, having worked on mixing and mastering for other folks, and it was honestly, like, in a similar vein of, like, having a sour experience early on with it. It was with that person we were talking about earlier, like, in that situation, it taught me, like, how much I hated. So, I mean, I guess, like, part of it is, like, I never got into music for money.
Yeah.
So, like, I never wanted to be about money. and so more often than not, like prior to that, I had already been doing stuff for other folks for free, and like just doing it like on my sense to like kind of work up on like my own experience, just
Same.
to add like be like I'm doing it like to like this be part of my catalog, and it was just like friends and like, so it was kind of like
shit you want to do, like 'cause
exactly.
you're
So to me it was no issue, even on like the recording tip, like because it was on that same measure. And then like when I got to this situation with that person, like it kind of taught me like I just didn't like being put in the position of like being told too much of like what to do. Like I have no problem providing like my help and assistance and things, but when it gets to like that point of, because when it gets to like that contractual point of like where once money involved, it's weird because it adds this fucking layer of like that it's like an exchange of services for service like that, right? And so like
but I mean, your skills are worth money, you know?
Exactly. Like
and that's the conflict, and it's like that's what gets you down to do it, because you're like, well, you know, this is like there's something that's worth the money, but it adds that which you're about to probably describe, like this other factor too.
Because I feel like I've largely done it out of community based, and it's usually like and not to like explicitly say like I scratch your back, you scratch mine, but it's always like I feel like that's how like a community thrives.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
we help each other out.
That's a deeper point too. Like when is that ever in some sense essentially backfired? I feel like it's damn near, for me personally, backfired a lot more on the other end when I involved money, because then those other things came into play, and then you know what I mean? Like
that's exactly what I was trying to get with it. Is it when I included that layer of it, like that burned me out, because then I have this sense of like service, and then like so it's like how much do I value my time and my effort towards this? Because like I had used other like mixing and mastering services, like, and I was like, all right, like
what do you mean by that? Like services, like people, or
like I tried it for like 2 songs,
like on a like that's interesting too. I forgot, like that's the other experience. So it was like a Reddit thread where we have like for other art called like for hungry artists, and then for 2 songs that we had on our earlier albums, we got the mix through like people that were there, right?
I'm on the mixing mastering Reddit thread.
Were they there though or not?
They weren't on there, so I found them through this other website that I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's like this website that's dedicated for like mixing and mastering, production, and like music centered.
I'd be
shit.
interested to know what that is.
I think I
forgot.
I'm sure I can find the name for it. It might be Sound Better.
Maybe.
I don't know if that name
that does ring a bell though. That rings a bell.
I just unlocked my phone at 3:33.
Wow, we started at 2:22. Gangs today. It's crazy.
But I think on there they it's pretty cool, like for mixing like to find services.
It's soundbetter.com.
Okay, it's a shout out to them, because it's honestly a really cool website. Very professional. It's very like
cool.
I like the way it's run, but in my experience, even with that one, my taste with it was like I had done it, but like me afterwards with one of the songs, I was like I didn't like the mix.
And see, that's a huge reason why I like mixing and mastering my own stuff, because like it would literally, the only time that I've let another audio engineer mix and master my stuff is when I've been featured on other people's songs, because we've recorded with their engineer. That's cool, whatever. But for my own stuff, for my solo stuff, I would literally rather die before I send it to another engineer, because you can have the best song, best lyrics, best melodies, best beat, everything, and then you send it to a mix engineer. The mix and the effects and everything can take one piece of art and turn it into something completely different. And I have such an important vision with how I want my stuff to sound. And so that's why I like to mix and master all my own stuff, because I have the vision for it. I know what I want it to sound like. And if I send it to another engineer, it's going to come back sounding totally different than what I wanted it to. So, I'm an artist not only in like melodic, lyric, singing way, but also with the mixing, mastering, like the effects like that. I will get a song fully recorded and be like, I'll be like this at my microphone, or like at my computer.
Like the Young Thug meme.
I'll be like, yes. But like, I'll be like sitting there like tunnel vision, like like all I can see is my computer. The rest of the world falls away, and then like I'll get done with the mix, like, and then I'll be like, I'll look up, I'm like, oh shit, it's 9 a.m. the sun's out, but I made a fucking hit, and I'm really happy with it. Like, I spend so long mixing, mastering.
Well, talk more about what that's like, because I see you post that on your shit. Like, what is that like? Like, cause I don't know what that's like just being like making a song full from conception to that point, and then just being up on hours and being like, now it's done. Like,
I mean,
that's
honestly,
everything, like, it's done. So
that moment where I like come out of that state, like, I don't really have control over when that moment happens. It just happens when it happens, and whenever it happens, I'm like, oh shit, it's like fucking noon, and I've been up since noon yesterday, but I made a couple hits and I'm really happy with them. But I just get like locked into this tunnel vision, and I don't realize when it's happening. It just happens, and then fucking 6-7 hours will go by, and I'm like, oh shit. And then I listen to the song back, and I'm like, you know what? It was worth it. It's noon. I'm gonna go to bed.
Exactly. That's crazy. Have you ever done that? I feel like, you ever tried that? To try to like, I mean, like, I know you finished, like, made some Sade and been like, all right, like, that was gas. But like, in the sense of like, I guess just like spent hella time mixing and mastering it after you produced it and did some shit on it. You know what I mean? And then was like, all right, I'm done. So like, in the same sitting. You know what I mean? Like, you made it in that sitting, and then you're like, all right, now I'm mixing it, and then you're just like, damn, I spent hella long working on that beat, like, or song.
No, because I feel like most of my music has been made with other people's vocals. Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because that part I couldn't even add on. I was thinking, like, if you sung on it, and I'm like, damn, I don't think you would have done that, though.
There's very few times where I have laid down vocals, and, like, in all those instances... Actually, no, there's been a couple times where I've done it whilst making the beat, but I've never gone to the full extent of
like then mixing it to the point of like, you're like, all right, I like how it sounds now,
like to like a full complete, because I feel like I never can get like a full, because I have to hear it back like in other terms, so I can't.
I feel like that is an interesting connection though in my brain though, like from voice to that would be wild to feel, you know what I mean?
But I mean,
just
like even the songs, like, because okay, so like I have made beats in the past. I haven't been focusing on that recently. I've been focusing more on my writing and vocalist
I've
stuff.
also put down with producing, but not much like mixing.
Like, I've made beats in the past. I consider myself a producer in a way, but like I've been focusing more on my vocalist stuff. And for like my Maad Hunni like vocalist stuff, I usually get beats like sent to me by friends who have made them, or I buy them off like YouTube producers, whatever. And that's when I like, you know, like I write, record, mix, and master, and I'm up for fucking hours. But then like once I break out of that like tunnel vision, like flow state mode, once I break out of that, I'm like, oh shit, like I need to go to bed. So like I'll save it, bounce it, airdrop it to my phone, listen to it, and then sleep on it. And then I'll wake up the next day, listen to it again, and it sounds different than what I thought it did at the end of the previous night. But you gotta re-listen to it, because like what is it, ear exhaustion? It's a real thing, you know, like you forget like what you're actually hearing, like it sounds different, so you gotta sleep on it and listen to it again the next day. So I do that a lot. But yeah, I don't know, it's
that happened. Now you guys reminded me, this has happened to me one time in my life.
Yeah,
I just haven't, same like you, I haven't really been on the producing tip. This is making me feel like I gotta get back on it though.
I know, I'm like, really trying to I'm trying to get a CDJ
once ever, bro, and it was a song that's out. It was Vodka Water. That's the only time I've ever done that. It was literally like, that was the move. Like,
that sounds dope.
My homie was here, or was coming in Monterey over, and we were gonna work on music. And I was like already working on music with my roommates there. Just had my laptop up, GarageBand, the little beat pad, and I was fucking around. And I was like, I was in that zone of just like making some shit, like a beat fully, and being like, all right, like that was that, like that's the beat right there, like. And then I was like, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a song. Like that was the move. So when I just didn't second guess it for some reason. I don't know. I was just sure that was just what was gonna happen.
That's
like,
when the best art happens, is when you don't second guess yourself.
Like it was kind of that zone of like, they almost didn't believe that like I could just do it like that, but in my head I was like, nah, like wow, this is gonna be completely like regular. And I just made the beat right then and there.
That's what I call flow state.
And then they freestyled some piano, and then the same thing you described, where a few times I was like and then I left it as was and heard it back. and then didn't let myself get that fatigue of like hearing it a bunch of times. We just kept hearing it in that form where it's like, damn, it's not that bad. Like we're just like, what the fuck? Like,
sometimes that works out, like it all happens at once, but then sometimes like you make it and then the next day you hear it again and you're like, oh, this is what I need to change about it. Like, but that's the great thing about flow state when you're first creating a certain project or a certain song, a beat, whatever. That's what I love about flow state, because you get so into it, you get so much done, and then you listen to it the next day and you're like, okay, here are the minor tweaks I need to make.
I think it was maybe just like some vocal shit, maybe, you know what I mean? But it was really just like, I remember I did the beat and just freestyled to it, like just right after making it. That was weird.
And that shit's lit though. Like that shit's really lit. Like,
I haven't done that many times in my life. That was crazy though. I forgot about it.
I literally, like, I don't freestyle, but one of the first songs I ever put out was, I was featured on my homie from New Orleans, his song called My Bands, and I have never I do not freestyle because I get stage fright. Like I get nervous. Like I'm better if I can like spend time like writing before and like figuring it out, then I like will sing it and it'll sound great. I do not freestyle. But this song, we were in the studio, like he had paid for studio time, and this dude I was talking to at the time, my homie was in the booth recording all of his verses and the chorus, whatever. And then this guy that I'm talking to, I'm supposed to be writing, he's fucking blowing my phone up. And he's met the guy that I'm in the studio with, like one of my best friends. He's met him and he's freaking out. He's like, you're fucking so-and-so. We'll call him Richard. You're fucking Richard, whatever. You're not actually in the studio.
If you don't want to, it'll be a bleep it.
Whatever. I don't want to make your life harder, but he was like, you're fucking Richard, like whatever, you're not actually in the studio. And like this guy barely knew me, like barely, like he was fucking crazy. He barely fucking knew me.
Shout out to all the Richards out there.
Yeah. Shout out to all the Richards. my homie Richard, he is like for real one of my best friends. Like that is like my brother, like for real. But so by the time Richard came out of the vocal booth and he was like, yo, it's your turn, I had nothing written because I was trying to tell this dude like, yo, chill, like Richard, like Richard's my...
Richard, bro.
You know him. Like, what the fuck? Like, he was being so insecure, and he barely knew me. Like, we only knew each other a couple months, only hung out a couple times. He was freaking out. And so Richard comes out of the vocal booth, and he's like, yo, it's your turn. Like, go record your feature. I was like, fuck, I have nothing written. It was my first time freestyling ever. And the song's out on Spotify. Honestly, pretty proud of it.
It was gas though, huh?
It was gas though. Like, I never freestyled before because I get nervous, but I got in that booth, and something just came over me, and I was like, you know what? I got it.
It'd be like that though, definitely sometimes. Like that's how it was for me to like start freestyling. I was making a tape Sweet Doom with my homies from Point Doom, Ruben and Sweets, Hank Sweets. And it was like, I'm pretty sure, I don't think everybody was even there. It was at my homie Andrew Pad, and I think low key, like I think it might have just been me, Sweets, and Andrew, and I think Sweets was asleep. And then like because I was taking a long time to like figure out my verse, what I was gonna do and shit. And then like essentially like I was like, in that time I just started freestyling, and he kind of just knew that like he would wake up and it would be like done. And I kind of was like, it was weird, but like I was almost like him knowing that or like saying something about that. It made me feel more confident that like the fact that he literally just slumped out on me doing it, like you know what I mean, like me finishing the verse, so he was just like I'm gonna just wake up and just gonna be done. Like I was like, all right, like I'm gonna just freestyle this shit a few times. And like it honestly was crazy, like one of the couple times, like, and it was very uncertain like that, like I had never done it and knew that I could do it like that and record it, and then I did it, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna keep this. Like,
no,
that was
for real. Like I hopped in the booth that day, and I was like, I have no fucking clue what I'm about to say, but I just literally fucking went into that flow state, and I was just like, fuck it, like did the whole verse, and then I got done, and I was like, wait, let me hear it back, and I was like, oh damn, she could rap.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was like, damn, she could rap. Like, wow.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was sick.
But then, fucking, I was one thing, random tangent that I was gonna bring up there in this pod was, because you mentioned, when I mentioned Vodka Water, that you liked that song, and that made me think that I saw you like, what's her name, 100 Gex, and do you like music like industrial, like, you know what I'm saying, like some kind of like alternative music and shit? Because I'm into that kind of shit.
Alright, so like if you took my whole music library that I have saved right now and just hit shuffle, it would go from like weird, like super underground folk music.
You used to listen to Aphex Twin?
Yes, I do.
We haven't met anyone else that's heard of them really on the pod
Dude,
yet.
they're dope. But yeah, if you hit shuffle on my whole music library, it would go from like some like dark like underground folk music that nobody's ever heard of to like 100 Gex to like fucking The Weeknd to like fucking dubstep to trap.
Ever been to a show of them? I want to know your experience.
Who, Aphex?
No, like Gex.
I haven't, but I really want to.
Because I was saying we had a homie that like has like those concerts, and he had like out of some of his best concerts and weirdest concerts, he had to say there was his interestingest one.
So 100 Gex actually like co-produced Charlie XCX's album that came out in 2020.
That's full circle right there.
Yeah.
We talked about her a lot on this podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay,
because her influence. Because you like Pierre, right? And all the like the hyper pop
but, like,
shit.
Her album, How I'm Feeling Now, I think it came out in like 2020, I think. But 100 Gex co-produced it, and so like they do like glitch rap.
Bro, just put my music in a fucking blender and the computer together.
I'm saying my Spotify library, it honestly goes crazy. Like it's all good shit, but like
so
it's
like
so many
put
different genres.
In like a fucking like the shredders.
Yeah.
Like they probably put like regular music
do
in those.
Do those exist anymore?
Yeah,
like,
people still shred their names and shit in there.
Like
my mom did that
I remember being a kid and like my dad or mom needing to like shred documents, and I would be like, no, can I do it?
Now it's like we make music with those.
Right?
We plug those into our MPC and just go.
Yes, but like I love that shit. Like I don't know, so like okay, for some background, like my mom raised me on like disco, like Michael Jackson
really like
and like classic disco shit and like early like 2000s pop shit, and then my dad raised me on like Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, like all of that good like psych rock type shit. So like my music taste literally is everything. Like put my shit on shuffle, you'll go from soft like somber folk music to like death metal.
Did you ever hear this disco song called Summertime, where it's like they singing in like the girls like in French? It's like I don't know the name of. I gotta look up the name of the artist, but like that's the name of the song, and it's like she sings it in like French. She sings in French too.
Okay, French house music is like incredible.
That song is like one of the hardest disco songs I ever heard. I just remember my dad playing it really loud many times in my life.
Have y'all watched Pam and Tommy?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Okay, so like it literally just finished.
I've seen the previews for it though.
Okay, yeah. So like the last episode just came out like couple days ago, but it's so fucking good, and like I keep rewatching the second episode over and over again because it's so fucking good, because that episode literally shows like when they first met and them falling in love and getting married after 4 days in Cancun, and then I'm about
to go to Cancun. That's crazy.
Go find yourself a Pammy.
They got married in 4 days?
No, it's crazy. I was a little kid at this
that
episode is so good. Like the music in it, the cinematography, it's like just so good. I keep watching and rewatching it. It's so fucking good. But they play a lot of, because it's set in like the mid 90s, so they play a lot of like 90s house techno stuff, and like it's so fucking good.
That's trippy to think like that's like the type of shit they're probably into at that time, you know what I'm saying? Like the music and shit. Like I feel like that music was, how do you say, like
yeah. Do you know the song Another Night by The Real McCoy?
Yeah, I've heard that thing.
Another night, another dream, but always you. That's such a good song. And be my lover, wanna be my lover, lover, lover. That song's so yeah.
That's so good.
Just watch Pam and Tommy. It's so good.
I feel like the way I was telling him, I tell this a lot. I think about being young in different times. Yeah. Like imagine being like, you know what I mean? Like
what year were you born?
97. You feel me? So like at those times,
I was born 98.
At those times, like I was real young. But imagine being like their age or older in certain like time periods.
Because they were like what, like late 20s in 1995.
Yeah.
So
like imagine being in your early 20s when certain music and shit was just coming out.
Okay, see that's why I'm super jealous of my dad. Like this man so basically
he's seen everything in life.
He was born in 1959, and he saw Pink Floyd multiple times live.
Damn.
He saw yeah,
I haven't met many people that have seen Pink Floyd. I'm not asking the right people.
When Pink Floyd did the Wall tour, They only did 10 shows in the U.S.
Okay, yeah, right. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't think they did like a crazy amount of
shows. They did 5 in New York City and 5 in L.A. My dad was growing up in Canoga Park at the time, and so he went to 2 out of the 5 shows, 2 out of 10 in the whole country. And because he went to the second one because he couldn't really remember the first one because everything was melting because he was tripping on mescaline, aka peyote.
It was back in the days.
Back in the days. And I'm like, Dad, bro, like, you were so fucking cool. Like, what the fuck? I'm like, and then when I told him, like, after the first time I did acid, we were like out eating lunch, like at a sandwich spot in my hometown. We're eating, and I told him, I was like, Dad, guess what? Like, I did acid. He literally choked on his sandwich, and he was like, promise me you'll never do it again. And I was like, Dad, I thought we could.
He thought it was chill. Like.
I was like, I thought maybe we could like bond over this, whatever. But now I've broken him down enough to the point now, like, every time I used to get a new tattoo, he would be like, stop doing that, whatever. I've broken him down enough to the point now where he's like, okay, whatever. It's funny. I'm just like, look, Dad, like, I'm just like you, and you don't like it, but I like it.
Also wants to know about your tattoo. Remember, that was a big thing we talked about when we met too. Mm-hmm. That shit was pretty fucking sick. I actually just got a tattoo yesterday. The Tame Impala tattoo.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Fucking crazy. This one, it's definitely one of my favorite pieces. I'd say it's top 2 for sure. My other one in my top 2 is my tramp stamp. Because it's not a normal tramp stamp. Like, it's actually pretty cool. That mouse pad went flying. That shit literally did a full 360 flip. But
we'll watch that back in slow-mo.
For real. For real, you gotta slow-mo that shit. Zoom in and slow-mo it. I saw you got a new tattoo. What is it?
But it wasn't this. It was like a fucking...
The red one, right?
It's like a...
What is it?
It's like a little guy. I'll show you.
It's a little guy?
Yeah, it's a Cupid.
A Cupid?
You care whether you live or die.
Feels me?
Hold up, let me...
It's like, I can't really like turn my body because it's on the fucking side of me.
That's so cute. My friend has a really similar one. My friend has one that's like a little cherub in red ink, but instead of a bow and arrow, it's a AK-47.
That's hard.
I'm like, bro, I wish I thought of that before her, because that shit's so sick.
Same though, because my homie has a cherub. And like, I couldn't get the cherub, because he already got the cherub. But that's like the goated thing, because it's a fucking music person, bro. Yeah. Like, I'm like, you know, of angels. It's like the goat of angels if you make music. And I was just like, damn, you already got it, bro? Like, all right. Nah, I can't get, I got to get like a regular Cupid or some other shit now.
I wish that I started, like, I still haven't, but I wish that I had started learning how to play harp when I was like really young, so that I could be like goated at it now, because the harp is such a beautiful instrument.
That's something I don't always say I forget, but I want to sample harp, bro. Like harp, strings, and horns. Like I'm getting those tatted on me.
The
harp, strings, and horns. Like those are like the 3 elements of music that I feel like are just the beautifulest things to sample. Like or in part of shit. Even when they're like playing in the shit is hard, but like I think about them in the ways of like just sampling them. You can like
flip them, make them. Yeah. But I have a few tattoos planned to get new that I'm really excited about. I was supposed to get a tattoo a few months ago, but my artist, the guy who's done majority of my tattoos, I was like, just let me know what day and time works for you, and he never fucking responded. That was like 6 months ago. I was like, I have the cash ready for you. But so I was born.
He did that one?
He did this one. He did this one. This one. And the wine glass.
That wine glass is tough.
Yeah,
I should have thought of that.
And he did my neck tat. I got that one to celebrate the release of Sylvia Plath, because on the cover I'm drinking blood out of a broken wine glass.
I was gonna ask about that album cover.
But he never fucking responded. Basically the tattoo I wanted to get. So I was born on 9/8/98 at 8 p.m. on my parents' 8th wedding anniversary. And my life path number is also 8. And so 8 is the number, if you study numerology, it's the number of balance and prosperity. So I was going to get 888 tattooed across my stomach, like really big, like above the belly button, you know? Mm-hmm. You know how people get like California, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. He was going to get like a thug life.
Yeah, like that, but it was going to be 888.
Everybody got one.
Yeah, so I want to get that.
We'll all say, what would we get there? I'll ask you, what would you get there if you're going to
for my thug life spot?
Yeah.
You don't have any tattoos, do you?
I have 2.
Oh, you do?
One right here.
Oh, what is that?
This is a paintbrush with my grandma's writing on it that says "Que harán estas manos."
What does that mean?
It's what will these hands do?
That's so cool.
Every time you say that, bro, I always think like, oh, these
How do
hands
you-
do.
How do you say it?
Huh?
How do you say it?
Que harán estas manos.
Can you get that on my bro?
Can
I need to grow
you
up.
text me that?
Yeah. I need to grow up and stop
Can
thinking
you
of
text
hands
me
when you
that so
say
I can
hands.
so I can memorize it? Yeah, but yeah, I want to get that one. And then my Tame Impala tat, I want to get mirrored on the other side, but in more of like a all black like metal style.
I was gonna say it'd be hard, like an alternate version of that.
Yeah, like the alternate version. Like this is like the like happy psychedelic side, and this is like the like metal
sick.
like fucked whatever. And then I have on this knee, it's like a little box, like an anime type little cartoon box of like sad eyes looking up. So on the other side, I want to get like the same thing mirrored, but it's gonna be like manic eyes. Like
I feels that.
Yeah.
I have like a little guy right here. He has like a little like root going through his head, and his face is melting. And then on this one, there's like a skeleton, and he has like some roses in his hand, and it says, "I'm not sick, but I'm not well." I think it's like that's what it says.
not sick, I'm not well, but I am ill.
See, I should have put that part. I didn't add the "but I am ill."
I mean, I got you. You can write that down. You can take it. You can
I
take
need
it.
to add some
I'm not
sauce to my
sick,
guy.
I'm not well, but I am ill.
That's fine. My next one I think is gonna be I'm gonna put Shadow's paw prints. I'm gonna
Oh,
put her front like paw prints.
that's so
on,
cute
my
and like
legs.
that's so cute and like neurotypical of you.
It is it's very much so. It's honestly just so that like wherever I walk, she's walking with me.
That's so
Whoa.
sweet.
But-
Yeah, I'm just getting all my shit mirrored in like those ways because like I'm pretty sure I have bipolar disorder. I have not had access to like mental health care
feel that.
because growing up I was literally a walking cry for help. But my dad was always like, depression isn't real, just smile. Anxiety isn't real, just relax. So I never had access to mental health help. I just finally got my own health insurance. So we're going to see what's up. But I was technically diagnosed by the doctor online who let me have my pets as emotional support pets. So yeah, pretty like 99.9% sure I'm bipolar. So that's why I'm like mirroring like the happy to like the manic and like this to like the metal.
Keep in balance.
Yeah, because it's like I don't know, it's what I deal with on a regular basis emotionally. So
That's deep. Nah,
Yeah.
I think that's something we could probably touch on like before we get into life affirmations and shit like that.
Yeah.
Is that what you spoke on, like the balance and like the
Yeah.
idea of that within like bipolarism? Because like shit, that's something I feel like I've like same like you, like I haven't had like hella experience with like, you know, treatment for that type of shit, but I felt like at times being on the spectrum of that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but and also with that, I've also felt always connected to the idea of balance. Like our
Yeah.
brand in itself is something that was like one of my, I think my second tattoo.
Yeah.
And I got it right here because it was literally just like,
Yeah.
you know, the idea of like peace
when
and middle finger.
I'm
like
a
yin and
huge
yang.
believer in like, you know, the universe works on checks and balances, you know, like
Yeah.
what you give you get. And that's why I have 3 dots tattooed on every finger, because my religion is every energy you put out you get back times 3. So that's why I don't, you know, we as humans with our ego, you know, I do my best to not put out any negative energy, but yeah, so I definitely am a huge believer of like universe, karma, checks and balances, all that fucking bullshit. But
Yeah, and I think weird enough, I felt the same thing with my tats that I've
Yeah.
like started to do, that I'm like, damn, like even when I got this one, it was in response to like everything has to be in balance.
Yeah.
Like I got a skeleton here, I got this here.
Yeah.
I gotta get some more light shit.
A
Here I
lot of
got a
my-
yin and yang. Like
yeah, a lot of my first tattoos, I feel like just the placement was balanced. Like this one, and then I got this one right after. Like it was, the placement was balanced for me. But yeah, I am planning like this whole arm is pretty much empty except for these 2 little guys. But I'm planning on having like a full sleeve concept for this arm, because this arm is like all just like little patchwork shits that I love. But I'm planning my full sleeve for this, and I know one part of it for sure. Damn that wind. Do you know who Salvador Dali is?
yeah, I've heard of him. His art.
Okay, yeah, so he's like one of my favorite artists. Fucking pardon? anyways, Salvador Dali did a lot of things about like the melting clocks was like a huge thing for him. So I want the first part of my sleeve right here to be a clock that's melting into this space. But I gotta figure out the rest because I want it to be like a full concept,
thematic.
you know?
Yeah. I've decided that my right arm is gonna be my creative arm, so it's gonna be stuff that's like anything associated with like creativity.
Yeah.
And my left arm is gonna be like my like life arm because I want it like to be close to my heart, so it's gonna be like whenever, hopefully never, but anybody passes and stuff like that, like that'll probably be like my left arm and other like side pieces and stuff like that. But I feel you on wanting to have like the thematicness to it.
Yeah, this arm is like kind of my arm that I've just wreaked havoc on. Like all the tattoos I've gotten them one at a time, and like the first tattoo on this arm was like my random fucking barbed wire Chanel symbol, and then the next one like actually meant a lot to me because it's Hera, the Roman goddess. Most people know the Greek version of her, so in Greek mythology she's Zeus's wife. But I have the Roman version, Hera, and it says chaos. She has like a tear thing that literally says tears, and then like an anarchy symbol and like a little heart face tat. I got that during one of my first manic episodes. And so that one definitely means a lot to me. And yeah, this arm is just kind of like my emotional arm. Whenever I'm feeling emotions and I'm gonna go get a tat, I'm just gonna fucking put it on this one. But I'm gonna plan this one out.
I feel that. I feel like I was just telling someone this, that like weird enough, like they seen this tat and they were like, and this is one of my favorite fucking tats. But
I love that. But
they were like, they thought it was new, and then I was like, and I was like, nah, I've had that like a long time, like. And then, but I was like, funny enough, I'm about to get tatted like today or tomorrow, whatever it was, like when they said it. And when they said that, you know, I may have had that conversation about like a lot of my tats, like I am very like spontaneous when I get them, but I know which ones. I spend a lot of time thinking about which ones I want.
For me, then I'm just like,
but when I'm gonna get them, it could just be like I could just hop up and be like, I'm getting one tomorrow, bro. Like
for me, it's always been very spontaneous because like I go to a lot of my friends hold events, like they have brands and shit, so they hold events. They'll have tattoo artists there, and so like I'm just like, fuck it. Let me get a tat.
Yeah, let's do it. Like,
you know, whatever. But a lot of my most spontaneous tattoos are the ones that mean the most to me. Like, because I feel like I look back on that time and I realize like why I was drawn to that design or whatever. I'm like,
they were saying that too. They were like, but you get good tattoos, so I feel like it's worth it. Like they were saying like you haven't had one that I've been like, nah, this is not dope. Like so, it's like it's not almost like the spontaneity is like working with it. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like, and I feel like us as artists, like, you know, the spontaneity of it is like, I don't know, you feel that emotion so deeply in that point where you want to get that tattooed. You know it's going to be on your body forever. You get it and you're like, I don't know why I got this. And then, you know, months later you're like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah, you're like, I remember. It's almost like a reminder. Like you're just like, I remember why I got that.
Because a lot of mine, I got them just feeling like, oh, I was drawn to the design. I was feeling it in the moment. And then like the next week after, I'm like, why did I do that? And then like months later, I'm like, oh, now I know why I did that. And it's a good reminder of like where I was at that time and where I'm at now, you know? And like when I got my tramp stamp, bro, oh my God, that shit hurt so fucking bad. But like the artist that did it, he's been tattooing for like 35 years. He was super quick with it, whatever. And he was like, I haven't done a tramp stamp since the 90s, but this is by far the coolest one I've ever seen. And I was like, all right, cool. And after I got it, I would like, I went out that night and I was like, my friend picked me up. I sat down in their car and I was like, ow. Like, fuck. Every time I sat down for the next like 4 days, I was like, ow.
Damn, do you have anything else to get into before you want to get to the life affirmation segment? Only because probably has to dip in like 15, 20. Only because I probably have to dip in like 15, 20. So I was asking Mauricio, had any other questions, you know, before we get to the life affirmations part?
Yeah. You got any questions for me?
Anything you want to bring up? I mean, you could also, if you don't have anything, we could also ask, you know, what other, you know, music you got coming out and working on that too. Because at the end, we also, you know, give that shout out too. But if you have anything in particular, like you want to,
I'll bring up the shit I'm working on at the end.
Gotcha. Because this part does get sometimes lengthy, you know what I mean? That's why I feel like it's a good, you know, time to bring it up right now at the 4 o'clock mark.
You got any questions for Maad Hunni?
That chain. I feel like I've been like seeing that chain.
Which one?
The eagle chain.
Oh, this one.
Or is it an eagle?
Yeah, it is. It says Wave World. So my friend I was talking about earlier, the one that I did my first performance of all original music, this is his brand. So, yeah.
Damn, yeah, I remember you mentioning that. I think that's what it was. It also reminds me of like the Diplomats logo.
Yeah, I don't really know where it comes from. Sometimes I'm scared to like wear it because I'm like, I literally do not fuck with America, but
the Diplomats didn't fuck with America neither when they made that logo. It was like Cameron and Jim Jones.
Is this the Diplomats
It's
shit?
like that with the different like font on it.
For sure. Because like he just gave me this and I was like, you know, fuck
it's like a flip of it, you know what I mean?
It's a
Because they're
flip of
from
it,
like
yeah.
the 2000s and shit,
like,
so they're not out
you
no
look
more,
at
you
it,
know?
it says Wave World and then the Eagle's got 2 blocks.
Yeah, it's hard.
Pine Tree Radio.
There's only 24 hours in the day.
Hey.
And most of them you lay awake with thoughts of murder and carnage.
Yeah.
There's only 24 hours, so you'd say. Singing like the saddest song ever with the fucking ad-libs. That
What's
shit's
your head tops? It's just like,
bro, that shit's hilarious. That shit's hilarious. Oh my god.
this type of shit I listen
That's
to.
so good. Thank you, kind sir.
Like, I just need Frank Sinatra and like West Side Gun to collab. And I'll be set in life.
Crazy.
Right?
You should have just heard the shit we just laid down.
He's like, boom, 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 boom.
You should have just heard the shit we just laid down. I was singing.
It sounded like that a little
I was
bit.
singing like this saddest, most emotional song ever, and on the like breaks between verses, he'd be like, ba 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 boom. I'm like, there's
I was
only
like, yeah. I
24
was like,
hours in the day.
you already know what the fuck it is.
And most of them you lay away of murder and carnage.
Nah, I fucked it up now. Wait, or
Nah,
I was supposed to press the siren one.
That was hard.
That shit was hilarious. That shit was really
Nah, 'cause
good.
you was really smoking it,
to
and I
watch
was
the
like,
tape.
No, that was really good, actually.
so shit, this is about the time of the pod where we get into the life affirmation segment. You know, we go around and say one thing that we look at differently in the past month, a year, or 2 weeks, or any amount of time, really.
Can I do one of each?
I mean,
Sure.
if you want, yeah, we haven't ever had that yet. We kind of leave it open-ended for whatever anybody really wants to do with it, because it's more so about just saying like, I used to look at this way, and then now look at it this way.
For sure.
So for me, I feel like this time around, I'm probably gonna go with, I think, shit, just maybe like, you know, I have some that change as we keep going on, but I feel like mine right now that has been changing as we keep going on is like my feelings about moving to New York and whatnot.
You want to move to New York?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he
Hell
might be moving to New
yeah.
York in a couple weeks.
Really?
Maybe.
Okay, I got some friends out there. You can hit them up. Like,
Yeah, but I feel like my feelings towards it, you know what I mean, they've always been up and down. Like, you know, it went from
Yeah.
being kind of like certain, uncertain,
I miss New York.
and like I think lately I felt more certain as it relates to just like the idea of like having a job out there. I just had more means to possibly be able to have a job out there.
Yeah,
And
for
now
sure.
it's kind of just opened up my mind to being like, okay, like now, even if I don't go right away, like I can go though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just been
for
more so
sure.
affirming the factors of like me actually going
Yeah.
have just been slowly happening. There's other things that happen within it, and that's a different part of my life affirmation. But I feel like a bigger part of it lately has been the idea of just affirming the little things that can kind of get the further mission or goal clearer to you,
Yeah.
and will always kind of push you closer to it. You know what I'm saying? Like it may seem like a small little thing that like is not that
I feel
attached to
like-
the main goal you're trying to get at, but a lot of times those
Yeah.
small little things be all the things that help you like kind of look at a bigger challenge you have as more like challenge, like attackable, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like I have
I
like
feel
bigger
like
challenges at
that's-
hand that I'm like, all right, they
Yeah.
don't look that big now. That's at least there's not like 1 million challenges
I feel
on
like
the
that's
list.
how I felt moving to LA at first.
Mhm.
You know, it was like at that moment it was like a huge thing, and now I look back and I'm like, it's one of the smaller things that led me to being who I am now. Yeah, I miss New York. I haven't been back to New York since I was 13.
You lived there for a while?
No, I mean, so my grandma on my mom's side, she used to live there when I was a kid. So every summer we would go for 2 weeks. And then in 8th grade, we did like a Washington, D.C., New York trip, visited all the monuments, went to a Broadway show, whatever. That's the last time I've been to New York, and I miss it a lot. Like, I remember being there in 8th grade, like, being in Times Squares, like, and like I remember the smell of it, which is so weird, but like the smell of like the like hot dog and churro stands and like the little food stands on the street, but like also the like grime of the city. And I was like, I fucking love this, like, you know. So I think that's a huge reason why I loved living in Hollywood and I love living in downtown LA now. But I've been trying to plan a trip back to New York for the last couple years, but you know, funny thing about life, COVID. So
yeah, it's a tough.
Yeah.
What about you?
Shit, man. I'm happy to hear that you're getting the hurdles towards moving to New York feel like less of a hurdle.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I feel like that's always it's a good thing. As far as like my life affirmation, I don't know if that's what you're asking or if you were asking like towards the other.
Give it to us.
I was I've been thinking about it a lot of like the calming and stimulating effects of water.
Oof. Let's get into it.
Have you done or like looked into like the float tanks?
I know what they're about. I haven't like tried one.
Yeah, my friend just did one, and I've been thinking about doing them for like a couple of years now, but my friend just did one and it reminded me, I was like, fuck, I need to get on that. Like, it's
wild. It seems like those kind of like some scare me because I feel like, I'm gonna be honest, like I know that you can I heard that it's like so quiet in there that you can hear like your heartbeat, and I feel like that would fuck with me so much because like whenever I hear or like feel like that's like an actual thing. Like whenever I feel or hear my heartbeat, like that shit gets me like. I totally,
and that's a big reason why I've held off on it, because like I'm the type of person when I'm at home, like I live alone and it's very fucking quiet living alone, even though I have 3 cats, but like I constantly have to have like some type of sound happening in the background, whether it's like music, a movie, a TV show, whatever. So I am kind of scared to do the float tank because I feel like being alone with my thoughts is going to be so intense, but I also feel like it could be really good for me. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
I could see where it could be good for you, because where I was going to go with like the water thing is like the idea of like, because I was thinking about like why when we like lay down in water or like when we get in water that's like still water, why that is like relaxing. Why do we enjoy that? And I realized, and then like someone brought up the idea of like frequency, like the fact that we are frequency, and that reminded me, I was like, well, that is true. I mean, like, 'cause if we're vibrations, then like when you go into water suppresses vibrations.
Yeah.
Like it makes it so that
but it also has its own vibration.
It has its own vibration, but like in the way it like stuff can go through it,
like speakers and shit like that, like the way you see some shit ripple through the water, like it just kind of like you just get sucked in it, like
it lets it go through it,
but it suppresses.
Like when they put that underwater filter on shit.
But like, have you ever gone underwater and like screamed?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like it suppresses the vibration, but water also has its own vibration.
Yeah, but exactly within its own vibration, it's that vibration that allows that kind of suppression.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because it's working with it.
Exactly. But those float tanks, they're so like soundproof.
That because you're not submerged in water completely. You're like half submerged.
You're floating. Yeah.
You're like you just.
And they'll put like essential oils, and there might be like a soft glowing light. But that like, cool. I think the sound deprivation is what scares me the most about it. Like,
exactly.
I really want to do it, and I think I will do it soon. I've been looking into it the last few weeks, but I'm still also like, fuck, like once I get in there, like they better have a panic button just in case.
No, I feel you. But on the tip of like being submerged completely underwater, or like even when you get into still water, like that calming nature of it just being a result of like the fact that it is like the suppressing of the vibration like that, and then also the reverse of that being running water giving a stimulating effect. Because I was thinking about it, like, because I know when I shower a lot and like the water is like hitting like against my head, like it feels good, and it's just that the idea of like movement, it's like I feel like it one like kind of amplifies it a little bit, and two mixed with like the temperature, so like that's also like a variable, you know, like if it's hot or cold.
Yeah.
But I felt like the idea of even when you're like in moving water, say you're in a river, right? And if it's like
you ever gone
aggressively,
water rafting?
No, not necessarily like white. I've gone like rafting, but not like white
scary.
rafting. Yeah. It looks intense. That shit looks crazy.
It's fucking scary. I went as a kid because my dad was like, let's fucking do it. But yeah, go on.
But like when you see like those kind of like that river and that energy, like that brings its own energy, you know what I mean? And it gets transferred in you, because like when you get just thrown into like a water, you have to go with the current, and like that movement, it just kind of like it puts you in like a different state. And like I was just kind of reflecting and thinking of that, of like the effects of water, and just like how
we're like 75% water.
Exactly, you know what I mean? Like I
have two things. So I grew up in Carson City, Nevada, which the house I grew up in is like, if you drive, in my opinion, correctly, you'll get to my favorite beach in Lake Tahoe in like 25 minutes max. And Lake Tahoe is glacier water. So it's not salt water, it's fresh water. But it's so calm there. Like, it's not like the ocean. Like, you don't surf there. Like, you chill on the beach, you walk out into the water, it's so calm. You can float out on a floaty for hours and just fucking vibe out. Or like go cliff diving, they have paddle boards, whatever beach you go to. So I grew up doing that, and then I moved here, and I'm like, oh, like, I'm so glad, like, I'm living so close to the water, because, like, I love Tahoe so much. Like, I spent every day, every summer in Lake Tahoe. I moved here, I'm like, oh shit, the ocean's very fucking different. It's, you know, salt water makes you float more than fresh water because of the density, because of the salt. And also because it's the ocean, the waves are a lot bigger, and I'm like, shit, like, fuck, like, I just want to float out on my floaty with my little fucking margarita like I did in Lake Tahoe, and just float for hours and not worry about, you know, getting swallowed by a wave. And yeah, I think that's all I had to say on that.
That's a good one though. I've had some interesting ass ones like out here.
Yeah
Definitely. I can't remember what was the last one I had, but I feel like it was one like that. Like, it was very like, it was like random, but it made a lot of sense.
I miss cliff diving in Tahoe.
That's what I was gonna ask. Do you still jump off of stuff down that you fell though, like of distance? Because I'm low-key afraid of like jumping off of shit in general.
Yeah.
But you still down for that shit?
Honestly, I'm down for the cliff diving in Tahoe, but like, funny thing, so one of my good friends, like one of my best friends ever, they send me TikToks a lot, and for a minute there, they would send me a bunch of like TikToks that are, they would send me like 60 TikToks a day, and I would have only time to check it once a day, you know, so I'd have like 60 TikToks to watch, and a bunch of them would be videos of people like falling or getting injured or something, and every time I watch a video of somebody falling off something or getting injured, my legs tingle. So like, I literally had to text them. I was like, hey, like, I don't want to be like annoying, but can you just not send me videos like that anymore? Because it like literally triggers a physical trauma response. Like, every time I see somebody.
That's weird when people do that though, and they send you videos of like.
Well, I mean, they think it's funny. They don't realize how it affects me.
They think on some funny shit. They're like, look, this is the same shit.
before I fell, before my accident, I fully would have thought that shit was funny.
I got you.
But now that I'm healed, you know, had that accident,
you feel it. You're like,
every time I see a video of somebody falling and getting hurt, my legs literally from my toes up to like my top of my hips like tingles.
But with that, you still down a cliff jump though?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm down. Like,
I've only done that once in my life. That's why I'm like.
I mean, I used to do it like fucking a few times a week when I was growing up in Tahoe. Tough. Like, it's not really like cliff jumping. The rocks that we would jump off of are like 30 feet max, like, you know, but you jump in the water, but because Tahoe is like glacier water, it's so cold. But like, once you get used to it, especially in the summer, it gets like 100+ degrees. It's so hot. You kind of want the cold water, but you'll jump off this like 30-foot rock and be like, oh shit, like the fall, you know? And once you get in the water, you're like, oh wow, and you get back up to the top and you're like, holy shit, I fucking did that in the adrenaline rush. I'm such an adrenaline junkie.
I'm gonna try to do that shit in Cancun. I did it in Hawaii this summer for the first time, but I'm gonna try to jump off some shit again in Cancun.
I mean, I'm such an adrenaline junkie. Like, I love roller coasters. I've always wanted to go. Like, skydiving is a huge thing I really want to do. Like, shit like that. Like I'm such an adrenaline
I'm never
junkie.
skydiving, but you know, hey.
but
Shout out to everybody.
after my injury, watching videos of people like fucking biffing the shit on like their bikes or whatever, I'm like, I don't want to watch people get hurt, but I would go cliff diving again, 100%.
None. Well, thank you for coming through today, you know, fucking, and bless us with your presence and shit. It was a great ass interview and talk we got to have today. I feel like we got to get into a lot of cool shit on the mixing side that we don't talk about, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It was a really good talk.
We gotta do it again.
For reals. Let's link back
We
up.
got a lot more to talk about.
Definitely. if you still want to come to New York and shit like that, we are gonna try to do it in New York. If you still have people you know there,
let me know, because I really want to come. I really want to plan a trip to New York. So if y'all are going out there, like, I'm so down. Just let me know.
Stu. Peace out, everybody.
I want his house burnt to the ground. I want to go to the middle of the night. I want to piss on his ass.
Mind Tree Radio.
You made me into candy. You like it 'cause it's sweet. You'll always be my daddy, but all you do is leave. Recklessly abandoned, like leaves fall off the trees. Falling off of me, I'll always be your candy. You always tell lies, look me in the eye. When you call me angel, I know that it's real. I know that it's real, 'cause you're the one who kills. You're my fever dream, you're my fever dream. It's just you and me, it's just you and me. Now I'm not scared of the monsters under my bed. It's just you and me. I'm maybe into candy, you like it 'cause it's sweet. You'll always be my daddy, but all you do is leave. Recklessly abandoned, like leaves all of the trees. Falling off of me, I'll always be your candy. Baby, your sweet tooth is showing out. I got them under my bed. Monsters in my head. Monsters in my head. Monsters under my bed. Monsters in my
Save her, a seed in hell. Talk to me. Tell me it's not lost. I'll forever love you. Hopelessly dependent. Are you there?
You made me into candy, you like it 'cause it's sweet. You'll always be my daddy, but all you do is leave. Recklessly abandoned, like leaves fall off the trees. Falling off of me, I'll always be your candy. You made me into candy, you like it 'cause it's sweet. You'll always be my daddy, but all you do is leave. Recklessly abandoned, like leaves fall off the trees. Falling off of me, I'll always be your candy.
My mind is consumed by thoughts of you. Tell me once again, dear, that you never leave me. There's no love like that which you feel for me.
Mind Tree Radio.
Right there. I'm right there. Right there. I'm right Life is just a dream, won't you wake up, honey? I know that you feel me, please just wake up, honey. Life is just a dream or a nightmare. Feel like you were right here, I'm right there. I went looking for you at the bottom of 10 bottles. All your demons are fought on, all your problems are solved. Yeah. try to fix me, but I still have been broke. You say you're here for me, but you were cold all alone. When the roses rose over, get out of my mind, leave my world behind. Think I'm good, realize come by when you need me. 1 a.m. in the void, raising hell with my boy. I went looking for God, at the end it's an expert. You said I'll make it look easy, you said that when you need me. And what a poor little guide, I heard you like a girl's heart. When the bed catch fire, honey drips down, drip or drown. Everything turns blue, everything with you, everything even worth you. Should've came with a warning label, should've came prepared. You're telling me no lie, no lie. When the bed catch fire, honey drips down, drip or drown. Everything turns blue, everything with you. I'm everything, I'm everything. Life is just a dream, won't you wake up, honey? I know that you feel me, please just wake up, honey. Life is just a dream or a nightmare. Feel like you were right, you were right there. Yeah. Life is just a dream, won't you wake up, honey? Right there. I know that you hear me, please just wake up, right there. Life is just a dream or a nightmare. Feel like you were right there, right there.
Mind Tree Radio.